comes in as well, so a little bit more depth in the seam bowling department.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we played on the same wicket we're playing on tonight as the boys played on Wednesday. It was a good wicket against Surrey, so they've decided with Dan being out injured to make some changes to the team and going with the extra seam bowler tonight.
So the Glamorgan side, Carlson, North East, Taylor, Ingram, Cook, Root, Ul-Hassan, Van der Hochten, Hatzoglu, McIlroy and Smith. And Essex lineup: Cushy, Pepper, Das, Walter, Critchley, Sams, Buttleman, Harmer the skipper, Snater, Cook and Rymel who'll be probably out fairly early in proceedings up the top of the order. So Essex deciding to bat first. What do you make of that decision, James?
I think it's probably a pretty natural one when you come to Cardiff and see a used wicket. You see how Surrey batted on it the other night. It should still be a pretty good pitch. So you know, they obviously think that it might get a bit harder to bat on and spin maybe later in the evening. So so they decided to have first go on it tonight.
It is Feroz Cushy and Robin Das, both young local Essex lads, who will open the batting for the Essex Eagles. Jamie McIlroy to open up for Glamorgan and Kenneth Davis to open up for the BBC.
Thanks very much, Nick. Good evening all. And Jamie McIlroy will start from the River Taff end. So as Nick was alluding to, a bit more depth in the seam attack with the inclusion of Van der Hochten. But here comes McIlroy, the first ball, and that is pushed into the offside to the cover, and they'll take a single. Nick, talking about the season, or the makeup of the season, I think, Nick, it's the same person that devised the rugby season, as they go from the URC to the European to internationals and so on.
Yes, it's even more of a change in cricket with the different formats, though. So
Das will face his first ball, left arm over the wicket, and that's pushed into the same direction, and they'll take a single, 2 without loss. Van der Hochten's inclusion is important, given there's been a reliance not just on Ingram and Cook's runs mainly, but mainly on spin as well, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Timmy's been fabulous this year in all formats, and to have him back in the team tonight and hopefully for the rest of this week is very big for us.
In comes McIlroy, trudges in from the taff end, and that's slogged over mid-off, and that should just get to the boundary. Yes, it does, for 4, so that's the first boundary for Essex Eagles.
Not much swing on offer from Jimmy McIlroy. That's what he'd be looking for in his sort of first over. He's been brilliant through the competition so far, and look, he's an outside bet at a wildcard slot, to be honest, at the 100, the way he's been going. This is the most amount of cricket he's sort of been able to put together without being injured, and it's going really well for him.
Essex 6 without loss. Feroz Cushy is on strike, and that's just dabbed away into the leg side through mid-wicket, and they will come through for a second, and good running between the wickets, and they pick up a couple. Yeah. So this an important, not the be-all and end-all, but 4th against 5th, there is a shootout with the corresponding fixture next week.
Absolutely, it's a big week for the club, really. When you think we've got a Friday night here, we got 4 days in Durham starting on Sunday, and then a Friday in Chelmsford. It's there's a big week for the club.
Eyeing that 4th position as McIlroy comes in, and that's pushed to the offside, and there's no run. Hampshire, Somerset, Surrey, they look to be the odds-on bets possibly for the first 3. They're strong teams, obviously, in that southern group, and then Glamorgan and Essex vying for that 4th position. As Jamie McIlroy starts his run-up from the taff end, past the umpire over the wicket, and tried to drive that, did Feroz Cushy, and mistimed, didn't get anything on it, and there's no run. That's the end of the opening Jamie McIlroy over, and Essex are 8 without loss.
Yeah, pretty solid start. Obviously 1 boundary in the over and a 2 and a couple of singles, but you know, a pretty accurate over from Jimmy McIlroy. Finished well with the dot ball and the Yorker, and it's over to Tim to take up the attack from the Keeler Road end.
So Van der Hochten playing his first game since the opening game against Gloucestershire over in Bristol. It was a little bit expensive, 1 for 39 on that occasion, but scores seem to be a little bit higher in general this year, James.
It's a tough game for a seamer, this. It's a tough game for a seamer, T20.
It is indeed.
hooked the winning runs, though, in Bristol as well, to be fair to him.
Yes. He contributed with the bat, 21 off 12. Here he is bowling to Robin Das from this Cathedral Road end, and Das has whipped that away over mid-wicket. Lightning hands, and it's carried the boundary by some way. Welcome back to the team, Mr. Van der Hoogten. Just a fraction short of a length, but good hand speed there.
It's a small margins in this game at the moment with a seam bowler. Tim, just a little bit back of a length, the sort of length you're trying to hit as a seam bowler early on, just sort of just above the top of the stumps, and that's a fabulous shot for 6 to open his account.
14 without loss. Van der Hoogten in again, bowls outside off stump, hammered away backward of square, and that's run away for 4 as well to Robin Das. 18 without loss. Essex, and just a bit of width on offer really, and not too much protection obviously in these opening overs. As you say, James, no margin for error at all. Ball back with Van der Hoogten. Outfielders are at square leg and point, just in front of square. That's a better delivery from Van der Hoogten, and it's played gently into the offside, and there is no run. It's been quite a run of injuries in the last few weeks, James.
Do you know what? We thought after the first 6 weeks we were going really rather well after all that championship cricket, and we got through that relatively unscathed. And yeah, we've picked up quite a few, I think, in the last sort of week, 10 days, and we've taken our squad down to pretty bare bones.
Here's Van der Hoogten into Das again, and he swings that one over mid-on. He's got enough on it, a couple of bounces into the ropes below us at the Cathedral Road end for the 3rd boundary of the over. And Essex on the gallop at the moment, and so far there doesn't look to be any deterioration in the pitch from Wednesday, and that was one of the reasons that Simon Harmer gave for batting first, having won the toss. 22 for naught, 2nd over. Van der Hoogten into Das, who cuts, and it's half stopped at backward point. They'll go through for 1. In comes Root off the boundary to mop it up and keep them down to a single. Dan Douthwaite was the latest casualty with a side strain, which is usually some weeks, I'm afraid, isn't it?
I think Dan's in for a scan tomorrow, so we'll find out the full extent hopefully tomorrow afternoon.
As Van der Hoogten bowls, and Cushy plays this one into the offside. They'll run the first one fast, but it'll be just the single. So 16 off the Van der Hoogten over, 24 for naught after 2. And Ed Byram, bang on the hip down in Hove, looks likely to keep him out for some time as well, sadly.
Well, that was a really freak injury. It was a bang on the hip, but then it was the next ball when he tried to move and swivel that it actually popped and came off the bone, and he's torn his sort of hip flexor off the bone by all accounts. So yeah, both those guys I think are going to miss a little bit of cricket in the next few weeks, maybe a couple of months.
And that with David Lloyd and Bevan already on the sidelines as McIlroy comes in for his 2nd over. That's cut, but it's stopped at backward point.
Yeah, Bevan's back in the 2s last couple of games, I believe. James, you'll have seen him. He got runs in one of them, I think.
Yeah, he did. He showed some glimpses of some of the form he showed with us at the end of last year. He dived in the outfield and hurt his shoulder just before the start of this competition, which was a real shame for him. He'd been looking to put a marker down and put his name in the hat to try and get in this team.
McIlroy starts his runner past the umpire, left arm over, and that was an attempt to pull on the leg side, and it got big on Feroz Kushi, but the result was an edge, and it went for 4 over 3rd man.
Yeah, Jimmy McIlroy's done pretty well there. Feroz Kushi came down the wicket at him, he's bowled him a bouncer. Unfortunately, he's got him possibly a bit of glove, bit of top edge, maybe a bit of body, and it's gone away for 4. Sort of over what would have been a slip cordon.
Yeah, Hatsoglu in at the 45, only the 2 permitted inside the 30 as McIlroy comes in, and that's a good length ball, and that's chopped away on the offside for a single. 28-29 without loss. Kushi 13. Robin Das is on 16. 2 local academy boys have come through the system, and that's good to see.
Yeah, 2 good young players. I mean, they're missing a couple of guys in Rossington
Wesley's
and Dan
dropped out,
Lawrence,
yeah.
Dan Lawrence, Tom Wesley.
As McIlroy comes in, a good length ball, that's a great shot, driven, and Lon didn't have to move for that, straight over the bowler for 4, dispatched by the batsman.
Look, this has been a great start from Essex. I mean, our guys haven't done a huge amount wrong. They might have missed their length a little bit, but geez, they've been punished for it. And when you get off to this sort of start as a batting team in T20, 30 on the board, you know, under 3 overs and no wickets down, the rest of this power play, the rest, you know, the next 3 overs are going to be a real target for this batting team, and bowling in it, as I have done a few times. I know how tough it can be, and it's going to be a tough one for us. We need a couple of wickets.
It was tough on Wednesday. Surrey winning by 65. McIlroy coming in over the wicket, and that's Fuller this time. But again, it's the same result. Just over the covers. Is it going to run for 4? No, it's scooped inside the boundary by Carlson. Just missed time that time.
I think Jimmy McIlroy might have taken a little bit of pace off that, for it to sort of spoon like that over cover. But I think, yeah, he's just been a little bit full in the last couple of balls. If you're looking at that sort of, you know, over the top of the stump sort of length, really straight, and he's just missed that little full twice there.
Das will face the last ball of McIlroy's over. Again, it's in and out. This is a chance for the caught by Hatzoglu, and it's taken. And that is the first wicket that James Harris did allude to, that was desperately needed after Essex started at a fair lick. It has come the breakthrough, and it's been taken by the Australian. It's 35 for 1.
Really important wicket. Anytime the batters get off to a sort of start like this, wickets is the thing you need to slow them down. And Jimmy McIlroy's brought a good length ball, tried to swing it away over mid-wicket and hit it straight up in the air more or less. So 35 for 1, it'd be nice to get another wicket or 2 in this power play to try and pull the squeeze on them a little bit. I mean, Surrey got a really big score the other night, and from a Glamorgan point of view, you wouldn't want to be chasing much more than the pitch looks really good, but you know, 170, 180 is the sort of target here, I think, if we can do that.
So Das going for 22, Cushy still there on 13. Pepper is the new man, and it was 11 off that 3rd over.
Well, Essex still on the gallop then. Das has done his job to a certain extent. 35 for 1 after 3, all action, and Glamorgan won't want to be chasing the same sort of total that Surrey posted 2 days ago, 236 for 2. That was pretty horrible, as Rory Smith is into the attack from the Cathedral Road end and hits Cushy on the pad. They go through for a quick leg by. They'll decide not to shy at the stumps at the non-striker's end. 36 for 1. Interesting scheduling there'll be next week, with of course the first team, Glamorgan first team, due to finish a match up in Durham on the Wednesday, and the second 11 through to the finals day of the second 11 T20 and in Oxfordshire, or wherever Wormsley is.
Interesting is one word for it. Might not be the one I'd use at the moment, but
so quite how they're going to get players in the right place at the right time, heaven only knows. Smith bowls, ramp shot from Pepper. Well, that's an audacious way to start. Just flicks it over fine leg for 4 runs. I mean, who on earth plays that sort of shot first up?
This is the beauty of this game, and this is the way that T20 is pushing cricket forward. I mean, no one would have ever thought that someone could play a ramp over 45, you know, first ball of an innings, but Michael Pepper's played that brilliantly there.
He's averaging 41 is Pepper, so in some sort of form, definitely, as he comes down the pitch to Smith. Square drives on the offside, but he'll pick out Billy Root on his favoured pavilion side of the ground and keeps them down to a single. 41 for 1 in the 4th here on BBC Sport Wales Online. We'll be joined by BBC Radio Wales listeners after 7 o'clock. Kenneth Davis, Glamorgan's James Harris, and myself, Nick Webb. As in comes Smith and bowls, and a play and a miss from Cushy through to Chris Cook outside off stump. Yes, I'm not quite sure how Glamorgan are going to get 11 players playing in Durham on Wednesday, if that goes the distance. In Wormsley on Thursday, and then in Chelmsford on Friday.
It's going to be a real challenge. I mean, especially with the injuries that we've just had in the last week, we could see a lot of academy boys, I think, in that game at Wormsley.
Smith in, bowls, and that's clubbed over extra cover by Cushy, and he'll pick up 4 more. Flat bat shot coming down the wicket. And, well, Essex continuing to race along as Smith, again, just back of a length, and flat batted in the air, up and over it went, up to the dugouts, the bus shelters in front of the cricket school. 45 for 1, decent crowd in tonight, probably a few more than on Wednesday, as you might expect, as that's better from Smith and defended back to him by Cushy. So 10 off, 45 for 1 after 4.
Good start, a really needed wicket in the last over, obviously, from Jimmy McIlroy. Essex would be pretty happy, I think, with this start. I think one thing we can say so far is that the wicket looks great. Ball seems to be coming on, players are hitting the ball out the middle of the bat, so kudos to the ground staff for the wicket they prepared for this week's cricket. It's really tough as a bowler, but it's a better game watching, I think, for the spectators when they're high-scoring games. And I think we're looking like, at the moment, we're going to see another one of those tonight.
Well, it looks a belter after the damp squib that April was. It's certainly come through late May, June. But Glamorgan need to put the brakes on here, and because it's been a great start from Essex, accelerating from the off. Van der Hoogten comes from the far end, ramp shot, over fine leg, 1 bounce for 4. And again, it's the second time we've seen that. It's a little deft shot, but as James Harris said, it just shows how the game has moved forward.
Well, with 2 people outside the circle, it's almost impossible to defend, because you're looking to, you've normally got those guys up at sort of short fine leg and short third. But when the batters can do that and just hit it over the top of the keeper or short 45, it becomes almost impossible to defend.
And using the pace brilliantly as well, as Van der Hoogten comes in again. Well, it was the same, and it's gone through Chris Cook for another 4. That wasn't quite performed as well as the previous shot, but the result is the same as another 4 runs, and Essex are over half a century already.
It would have been a fabulous catch, this. Pepper's gone for another ramp shot. He's almost edged it. Chris Cook's gone for a massive dive. He's got 2 hands on it. I think he'd have hoped to have clung on more often than not onto that, but unfortunately it's crept through. It's gone for another 4, and I think we've almost got to find a way to put that guy back, with the fact that Pepper's probably played that shot 3 times.
Well, he is going back now, yeah. He's going back to the boundary as we speak, as Van der Hoogten comes in past the umpire. That's clubbed over extra cover for 4, and Essex are accelerating here, and they're going from strength to strength. 57 for 1, and Michael Pepper has just come in and has said, I'm going to take this game away from you.
Well, just for everybody sort of listening, Tim's bowled 3 pretty good balls there at the top of off stump. I'd say all 3 of them. 2 of them have gone over sort of 45 for 4, and Michael Pepper's danced down at the 3rd one and hit over extra cover, so some really good batting.
From the tough end, Van der Hoogten comes and bowls, and that's a good length again, but that is clubbed way over extra cover for a massive 6. And at the moment, Essex are clubbing everything for boundaries. Slightly back of a length, you would say that time, but again, it's a brilliant shot.
Wow. Michael Pepper, that's a serious cricket shot over cover for 6. Glamorgan need to find a way to get him off strike here and get out of this power play. I mean, 8 balls left. You know, if you can get, well, I don't know how many we can keep him to here, but just try and get out of this power play without too much damage.
Van der Hoogten, the penultimate ball of the over. They need some divine inspiration. That's edged for 4. It went fine past the man at 45, which was Hatzoglu, and he couldn't do anything. It's another boundary, and this is proving to be a more than profitable power play for Essex. Pepper is on 27, Cushy 17, and in from the off he's played with intent. Van der Hoogten rounds off an expensive over, and it's a play and a miss that time. So 67. So what was that, 22 off the over?
22 off,
22 off the over. And I was just looking, Nick, we were down at Hove last week. Glamorgan, well, it was a fantastic power play down there, 73 for 1. And Essex are going to be beyond that.
Looks very much that way, as Rory Smith will continue. Van der Hoogten's 2 overs have gone for 38, which is ludicrous really for a quality bowler. Maybe just a little bit more variety possibly needed, but he should know what he's doing. Smith to bowl a second over from this Cathedral Road end, and a slog of a miss from Kushi there, as that one just goes through outside off stump.
Essex are really going to look to capitalise on this over now, to really push this power play as far as they can. Rory Smith's got 5 balls here, and Essex are really going to look to target him. They've been targeting everybody so far. They've hit the middle of the bat quite a lot, and they find themselves in a really good position 5 overs into the game. But it's going to be a really important this over to get out of this power play, and then to get into the middle and try and take some wickets and bring Essex back towards us.
Voice of Glamorgan and former Middlesex player James Harris, here on BBC Sport Online. What's the umpire up to? Umpire
I think
Lungley.
he's hurt his shoulder swinging so hard, you know.
There's Kushi, 23-year-old. Averaging 23 before this game, but he's going well. That's hammered to extra cover, and Colin Ingram has held on to a hard, low catch. Kushi has gone, it was more wide mid-off. Kushi has gone for 67, for 17 with the score on 67, and well, at least Glamorgan will have the chance to bowl as a new batter again.
Yeah, they needed it, they really did. Good bowling from Rory Smith. Kept trying to hit that sort of back of a length, top of middle stump, and over middle stump length. The batter, Kushi's come down, taken a little step towards him, and just hit it pretty flat, but straight to mid-off. And a really important wicket for Glamorgan. 2 down in this power play really helps, and wickets are the only way really you can slow a team down when they're going as well as this. You saw the other night on Wednesday with Surrey batting and batting so ferociously, we couldn't prize the batters away from the crease, and that meant they could get as big a score as they did. So wickets are going to be the key here, trying to put pressure on the new batsmen, and try and take a few more here, and bring Essex back towards us. They're going at 12 and over, and we need to keep them under pressure as much as we can from here.
Josh Rymel, who I think has opened in the past against Glamorgan, is in at 4. And he plays his first ball back to Smith, who gets a hand to it in the follow-through. So Rory Smith doing his best to impose a little bit of order with a couple of dot balls and a wicket. And that gets the crowd going. They don't need much to excite them on a Friday night. 3 dot balls in a row and a wicket will do. Rory Smith claiming his 4th wicket off the campaign. A man who wasn't on Glamorgan's staffer a few weeks back. As this next ball is driven hard into the ground to Carlson at extra cover. Interesting fight back from Smith, having been released at the end of last season, but proving he can string a few games together this year.
Yeah, look, Rory's skill set's never been in question, I don't think. I think it's just been a case of getting his body right and keeping him on the park. So, the fact he's been able to string some cricket together, he's come straight back in and done a really good job.
Maybe the pressure off a little bit, second time round, as in he comes and bowls, and he's tucked Rymel up there, and it is another dot ball. Well, this game is quite ludicrous tonight. 22 off 1 over, and now we've had 5 dots in a row, or 4 dots and a wicket. Can Smith actually bowl a maiden, or can Rymel strike back? Outfielders at backward point, and it's deep square in front of the grandstand, which is fairly thickly populated tonight. Smith bowls, and that's cut and caught. Rymel goes without scoring as it was chopped to Van der Hoogten at short third man, and Rory Smith gets a double wicket maiden. And they're like gold dust in this form of cricket.
Would you believe it? Glamorgan needed that over. A brilliant set from Rory Smith, 2 wickets, no runs. Just dragged, got that extra wicket, wide ball outside off stump. cut pretty hard, but straight to Tim van der Guten on the 30-yard circle, and Essex 3 down. So yeah, that made, well, double wicket maiden. Really pulled it back there nicely for Glamorgan, and dragged that power play back towards us. So yeah, brilliant work from Rory.
Well, that puts a different complexion on proceedings. A wicket maiden, which is a rarity in this form of the game. It was bordering on being a wide. He had to stretch for it, cut ferociously, caught by Van der Hoogten. And that is a big blow. 67 for 3. As Josh Rymel goes without scoring. Feroz Kushi still, Michael Pepper forgive me, still there on 27, and there's going to be another change now in the shape of Hatsoglu, the Australian, who's on a short-term contract, played for the Perth Scorchers. It was a tough night on Wednesday, well, for everyone concerned, against Surrey, and last weekend was expensive, but he gets his first opportunity from the Taff end. Pepper on strike. Here comes Hatsoglu, and well, I thought there was a slight chance of caught and bowled as it went down to long on, slung back in to Chris Cook, and there is a single. A very unorthodox action, all elbows and arms, and
big time. He chucks the ball up a few times, spins it in his hand, he runs in off a long run. He's a brilliant man, he's a lovely man, Pete, and he's a modern day cricketer. Never played a first class game, probably never going to play a first class game. Just loves T20 and it suits his skill set.
So Paul Walter, the new man, and that's driven into people just thought there was a catch and it was driven into the ground.
It's a bit early in the evening for crowd catches to go down quite so loudly.
It's never too early, Nick. Fair crowd. Perhaps maybe would have thought there would have been a few more. There's no Coldplay this evening as Hatsoglu comes in. That's cut into the offside. Should be cut on the boundary, and it is stopped. And they'll have to settle for a couple. Yeah, the Wednesday, nowhere to park round here.
Yeah, I understand that Harry Styles is playing at the stadium. Not that I would have known that.
Well, I did, only
to
because 2 of my daughters will be present, Nick. I won't be. As Hatsoglu comes in past the umpire, puts a little zip on the ball, and Point can't cut it off. There is a man at deep extra cover. It's a single, 71 for 3. But Glamorgan certainly hitting back after Essex started at a rate of knots. 71 for 3. And they're in full voice now. The Glamorgan faithful in the sun here. Picture postcard scene. Floodlights are on, not that they're needed at all. In the 7th, 2 balls to go from Peter Hatsoglu's first over, and that's scooped away on the leg side. Just another single. Decent over once more.
Really good. I mean, Pete's a tough man to get away. Ball's really sort of flat leg spin, skids him on into the stumps rather than being a big spinner. So he'll be looking to get out of this over now, and then yeah, look, the last couple of overs I think Glamorgan will be really happy with.
Paul Walter, a local, another local product, facing left armour. That'll go down to long off. Just another single, and Glamorgan will be more than happy with that after the previous wicket maiden. Essex after 7, run rate is 10.4, 73 for 3.
Just shows the value of the wickets. I mean, dragging that run rate back there. Made double wicket maiden from Rory. Pete's over going for, was it 6, I think. You know, I think really happy with the last 2 now. And wickets are the key in this game if you're going to drag the batters back to you. Michael Pepper's got off to a brilliant start. Paul Walter's a very dangerous batsman. Very tall man, hits a very long ball. And we need to keep taking wickets here because the wicket looks good. And I think, you know, we'll be in with a real shout here to chase down whatever Essex get tonight.
Tall Paul, yes, it was a bit of a brutal occasion when Glamorgan went to Chelmsford last year. As in comes Zain Ul Hassan, and that is played by Walter up towards Ingram at long on, and there is a single taken. Ul Hassan, the 22-year-old, born in Pakistan, grew up in the English Midlands, was on the Worcestershire Academy, and played an awful lot of second-team cricket for lots of different counties over the last couple of years, as well as the South Asian Cricket Academy. So his perseverance has been rewarded, really. 74 for 3. Ul Hassan to Pepper. Danger man so far, 29, and slightly slower ball, just noodles it down to point for a single. 75 for 3. We talked about Rory Smith's return. Ul Hassan with a very different pathway.
Absolutely. Came into the second team last year on trial. I think really impressed, and he's been a really good addition to the squad. Bats, bowls, fields really well. So yeah, we're really happy to have Zain.
75 for 3. Ul Hassan around the wicket, that's hit up in the air. It's not going to carry to anyone really. Ingram comes in from long on, but they're still able to run 2, as that one was clothed and would have been comfortably caught by conventional mid-on.
Just the beauty of the game. The boys have been hitting the ball out of the middle all night. That was the worst one of the lot. Cloth didn't go up, didn't go anywhere at all, and just jogged back for 2.
77 for 2. Ul Hassan around the wicket, a pull and a miss, and that one's gone between the batter and the leg stump. There's no use staring at the umpire like that, because it may have gone past the leg stump, but it also went inside the batter as well. Walter on 7, Pepper on 30, men out dust 22, Cushy 17, Rymel no score. Another big dash down the wicket, and a slog up to long on for a single from Walter. So Ul Hassan, not of lightning pace, but he's just varying it a little bit as well, and a couple of times they've been through the shots a little bit too early, and he's bowling over the wicket to the right-hander, round the wicket to the left-hander. 78 for 3, 8th over, and that one's played into the offside. They'll go through for a quick single shot. The wickets misses. 79 for 3 then. 6 runs off the over. And all of a sudden, James, the big shots seem to have been put away for a few moments.
Really good. I mean, really good cricket from Glamorgan. 12 off the last 3 overs, a couple of wickets. Just dragging Essex back towards us all the time. Zain Ul Hassan there's come in, mixed up his pace. We're obviously able now, we're at the power play, to put some fielders back, and the batters have struggled to get those last 2 overs away. So Kieran Carlson looks like he's coming on now for an over. Played obviously a spinner less tonight, not playing the off-spinner in Andrew Salter, who sort of hasn't featured so far, so Kieran takes up the off-spin duties in this team at the moment when required.
And why not? He bagged a couple down in Hove against Sussex, but also dislocated his finger as well in that game. Carlson's first ball, and it slammed into extra cover, short extra cover.
Kieran's sort of half on the injury list at the moment. I think he's got a little fracture in his left hand somewhere, so he's sort of, half touch and go.
Here he comes, bowls past the umpire, just gets the pace off that one. That's prodded away into the onside. There'll be a single, 79 for 3. Glamorgan hoping to get into the last 8 for the first time since 2017. Essex previous winners of this competition, 2019, and they got through last year. So a team of calibre, so it'll be a tough shootout between these 2 sides as Carlson comes in, and didn't connect, did Walter that time. If he had, might have gone behind into the tough.
Paul Walter's left the middle of his bat in Essex at the moment. He just brought the edges with him.
8 from 9 is Paul Walter, the 4th Kieran Carlson ball of the over. And that's...
I'm really glad that ball didn't go for 6, just as I said that.
I'm surprised they didn't take a single. Right at the edge of the circle.
Yeah. So decent start for Kieran Carlson, and that's dissected the fielders on the onside boundary between long on and deep mid wicket, and it's a boundary for Essex, a boundary they desperately needed after the start that they had. Glamorgan to put the brakes on.
Yeah, they have. Kieran bowled that one pretty well, to be honest. It wasn't anywhere near where Paul Walter was trying to hit it. He was sort of off a thick inside edge, but being such a big, strong man, it got to the boundary for 4.
5 off the over. Oh, that was wide. But Walter tried to cut that into the offside, didn't connect, and there's no run. So a decent start for Kieran Carlson, just 5 coming off the over, just that one boundary. Essex 84 for 3 after the 9th.
Really good work the last few overs from the Glamorgan bowlers here, bringing Essex back sort of all the time after the brilliant power play they got off to. 84 for 3 off 9.
Yeah,
where's that,
how does that judge? Well, just getting to the halfway point.
I think, look, Rory Smith's got to take a lot of credit for that double wicket maiden.
Yeah.
If Essex are 1 down, 1 or 2 down, potentially coming out of that power play, they can keep going, and we've just managed to hold them back.
84 for 3. Ul Hassan is in to bowl and noodled away by Pepper down towards backward square. Single taken. 85 for 3. Smith 2 for 9 off his 2 overs. One of them a double wicket maiden. Looking back at this fixture last year, Glamorgan used 7 bowlers and none of them is playing this evening.
Wow.
85 for 3. Ul Hassan to Walter, who clubs it towards wide long on, well stopped by Ingram on the first bounce, single take.
Go on there, who wants to play? Hogan
who's with Kent now, Nisa and Labuschagne with the Australians, Jimmy Wheel, who is released, Dan Douthwaite, who is injured, and Prem Sisodia and Andrew Salter not selected. Glamorgan won that game very comfortably indeed by 6 wickets, but got pummeled in Essex. Ul Hassan bowls, it's down leg side and gloved away by Pepper. Didn't get much on it, and that helped him really, because he had fine leg up in the circle, and it's run away for a boundary.
I don't think they've won here, Nick, since quite a while. 2017-16, I think. 2016, I think.
Yes, it's a very different atmosphere between the 2 grounds. 90 for 3. Hassan bowls and played down to short third man. They'll dash through for a single.
Suggesting what?
James will tell you what it's like fielding on the boundary at Chelmsford.
It's entertaining. We'll leave it at that. Normally, obviously, much smaller ground, packed house, pretty much always, and you get a fair amount. The crowd get involved. Let's just leave it at that. They give you a little bit of stick on the boundary as the visiting team.
Ul Hassan comes round the wicket to Walter, who swings one away on the leg side, and he's got that one away over mid-wicket. Good 15 metres over the boundary, goes soaring over the dugouts and goes away for 6. So Essex just starting to accelerate again with 13 off this over so far. Yes, Essex away. You don't get much applause for visiting boundaries, do you?
No, you don't. It's a pretty partisan, sort of one-sided crowd, and they really get on the opposition's back. And it plays into Essex's hands brilliantly. It's it's one of the tougher grounds to go in the country in T20 cricket, knowing you're gonna get that sort of reception.
As Ul Hassan is into bowl, again smashed away on the leg side, and Walter is picking up now. He's bisected the fielders there at square leg and mid-wicket, and it's run away for 4. That is an expensive over as the Essex 100 comes up. Apologies to our Essex viewers, we love you really. 101 for 4, 17 off the Ul Hassan over.
Yeah, just as I said there, that Paul Walter wasn't finding the middle of his bat. He's found a couple and finding a couple of boundaries to get him sort of back on track from where they would have wanted to be after that start. So still pretty good from the last couple of overs from Glamorgan. Obviously that over went for a few, but 100 for 1 off 10 after the start they had. If we can win this second 10 overs, we can keep them to a chaseable score here.
Just the 1 over then from Captain Kieran Carlson. Hatsoglu's back into the attack. That has been a feature theme from Mark Elaine's coaching, maybe, that he does want to change things. It's a theme of T20 cricket, but he definitely has brought that into Glamorgan's game.
Yeah, big time. I think as Kieran's captain, got to go with what he's feeling.
As Hatsoglu comes in, and just takes the pace over that, but it's a cracking shot over the extra cover boundary for 4, and they're picking up again after that fast start. They're 105 for 3, and it's a case of getting wickets here, because they're going to look to score heavy here. 105 for 3, they're going at a fair lick.
Yeah, now you've sort of taken those few overs out of the game, a couple of quiet ones from Glamorgan.
And Essex, having won the toss and elected to bat 105 for 3 in the 10th. There's a shout for LBW from Hatsoglu, and it's given out. And Glamorgan desperately needed a wicket, and it's come in the shape of the Australian spinner. Caught LBW, given out, and Pepper goes, the danger man, for 42. That came from 18 deliveries. They just started to create a bit of momentum, did Essex, and a crucial wicket, James Harris.
Yeah, in the context of T20 cricket, 40 off 19 balls, and Michael Pepper got there as a really good innings. Big wicket for Glamorgan. 105 for 4. I think just as they were starting to put the accelerator down there, we needed that wicket, and Pete Hatsoglu's gone and got it for us. So yeah, it's brilliant. And we're really hopeful here of another one. We can try and put the pressure now on the incoming batsman.
Pepper just went across his stumps then, across the line, and was caught.
Wasn't exactly a leg break.
Not quite. He doesn't bowl too many traditional leg breaks. The big Shane Warne leg spinner, he doesn't quite have in his arsenal, but what he does have is very, very effective.
So Pepper goes, and that brings Matt Critchley to the crease. 26-year-old right-hand bat, originally from Lancashire. I think he's drafted. Is he drafted for the Welsh Fire? I think he is.
I think you might be right. Yeah, he's played for Derbyshire most recently. That's where he sort of found his home over the last few years before moving to Essex.
So Hatsoglu with a bit of zip here after taking the wicket, comes in. That unorthodox action past the umpire, and that's a good ball, just prodded. Yes, there will be a single. Too long on. 106 for 4. The run rate is 10.1. 9.3 overs remaining here at Sophia Gardens. You're listening to Radio Wales Sport with myself, Kenneth Davis, Glamorgan bowler James Harris and Nick Webb. Essex won the toss and elected to bat. 106 for 4 as the Australian Hatsoglu comes in. That's wide, that's slashed, and it'll go past the man at 45 for a boundary.
Paul Walter just picking up boundaries here every time he seems to be on strike. Essex will want to keep pushing on now. They've got off to a pretty good first half of their T20 batting innings. They'll want to keep pushing on. Matt Critchley coming into this game off a 60 not out. I think he saw Essex home against Kent the other night on
Do you know what? I think,
on TV.
I think Chris Cook had a glove to that as well. But it'd be very harsh to call it a chance as Hatsoglu comes and that's slashed past the man in close to wide mid-off. Just think it ricocheted off Chris Cook's gloves. So Critchley on strike, Paul Walter on 28 from 17 balls. Just this is the last ball of the over. Hatsoglu, and that's a good length. Chopped, it's missed the man at backward point and races for 4. Fast outfield here at Sophia Gardens. Disappointed with that. Who was that point there?
Smith, he gave it full length dive.
Yeah.
I think that's the risky run when you bowl at the sort of pace Pete Hatsoglu does as a spinner with no one behind square on the offside. If it beats that man at point, it invariably runs away for 4, and that's kind of what happened there.
Probably should give credit to the batsman being well
it's a pretty
placed.
good shot. I mean, Pete will probably say he was a stump wide, perhaps, but we know in this game with such fine margins, you miss a stump wide or a little bit full or a little bit short, and the ball normally disappears.
Neil Diamond buys another champagne on his royalties.
The crowd seem a good voice already, don't they?
Well, I tell you, if Glamorgan are hitting boundaries in an hour or so, then they'll be warmly applauded. Kieran Carlson's going to have a second over, and the first ball of which is launched into orbit by Paul Walter. That is huge over mid-wicket for 6.
He's a big man. He hits a long ball, and that one did travel a really long way. Kieran Carlson just dropping one on a length. when Paul Walter really did take it on to slog sweep it over mid-wicket.
Wow. That one went a fair distance
We've got a lost ball as well.
towards the cricket school. It's gone down the side there, has it? Somewhere down the side of the pavilion, I imagine, from the direction it was heading. Anyone got a box? No, they found it. They found a ball anyway.
It's coming back with a chunk of concrete, didn't it, potentially?
Umpire Lungley has a little look at it. Oh, hang on. No, this is Lloyd at this end, isn't it? Sorry. Umpire Lloyd. As Kieran Carlson at 121 for 4 finds Walter driving into the offside, fielded by Northeast cover. Just the single is taken. 122 for 4. Non-stop action at Sophia Gardens. Essex got to 67 inside the first 5 overs. Then there was a Rory Smith double wicket maiden. A couple of quiet overs and now Essex on the charge again. Carlson to Critchley wide and edged for 4. I think it'll be chased by Hatzoglu. And has he kept that in field? No, he hasn't. Not quite. Must have just dribbled up against the rope at the far end of the ground. As I think that was a genuine edge, James.
It was, yeah, and Essex will be happy with this. I mean, boundaries are the key in these middle overs, and still being able to put pressure on the bowlers. So to find a few like they have in the last few overs really keeps Glamorgan under pressure.
4 down, men to come include Sams, Buttleman and Harmer. Oh, that's a horrible fault toss from Carlson. That's been given as a no ball. It's clubbed to mid-wicket, but it was over waist height, and therefore it will be an extra delivery. Couple of runs and a free hit for Paul Walter. Well, he was doing well enough without the free hit, frankly. 129 for 4. In comes Carlson and bowls, and this one is hit up in the air. It may be caught. No, Colin Ingram can't quite get to it. And the free hit has gone for 6. 135 for 4.
I don't think Paul Walter got any of that at all. He was looking quite anxiously at it, hoping it was going to go over the boundary. In the end, it did sail over, but they're big moments in the game, those no balls and giving people free swings.
Carlson bowls, and Walter's got one off an inside edge to short fine leg for a single. 136 for 4. Glamorgan starting to look somewhat frustrated in the field from the body language, and not much has gone their way. There have been a lot of shots come off the edge and run away, have gone up in the air, just over fielders, just short of fielders. But Essex batting well as Critchley plays one gently up to long on for a single. 137 for 4, and we have had just 12 overs, so Essex are going at 11 runs and over or thereabouts. More than 11.
Paul Walters really put his foot down. He's 42 now of 21, striking at 200. It just shows what a slowish start, what that can turn into with a couple of boundaries, and he's really kicked on, and Essex have found themselves back in a really strong position, and Glamorgan are hunting wickets again.
22 coming off that expensive over for Kieran Carlson. So Glamorgan need to put the reins on their opponents here.
Yeah, it's going to be another 200 chase at the least, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Wickets are the way. If we can find another one here, if P. Hatzoglu can find us another 1 or 2, we really can restrict them. But yeah, if these two stay in, they keep hitting boundaries, we're in a little bit of trouble.
Hatzoglu continues to Critchley, and that's cut. But they thought about a run and thought again for the second time, because backward point was in very quickly.
Paul Walton not a big fan of running by the looks of things. He's turned down a couple of what should be, I think, in most cases, easy singles for most people.
Sam Northeast, man who scored 70 plus in defeat against Surrey, cutting that one off. That's a full length ball. There's
wide.
All right.
Just down leg side.
Yeah.
Chris Cook whipped off the bails just in case.
Bowlers like appealing when it goes down leg in the hope that the umpire thinks he might have flicked a pad or something, or you can trick him.
Just a bit of a conflab. I think they're saying exactly that. Peter Hatzoglu, a wry smile as he comes in past the umpire. That's whipped away on the leg side, and there's quick single taken as it goes down to the man at fine leg. So 138 for 4 in the 13th. So there are plenty of overs left, as James was saying. So it's all about wickets here to pile the pressure back on Essex. Paul Walter looks in fine form, though, still there on 42 from 21 balls. And he now faces the Australian spinner Hatzoglu from the tough end. Just gives himself a bit of room, and that's cut elegantly into the offside. Past deep point, and that's another boundary. Fine shot from a man in form.
It's good batting again from Paul Walter. It's a short boundary straight down the ground towards the River Taff, and Pete Hatzoglu's trying to fire it in and make sure he doesn't get hit straight, but he's given Paul Walter a little bit of width there, and he's bisected the fielders beautifully.
143 for 4, so just trying to manoeuvre the field. Fine wicket. It looks a belter here at Cardiff. Hatzoglu again just slightly wide, which means there's an easy single as it's cut into the offside to extra cover. Just a bit of a lull, you feel, in terms of Glamorgan and the crowd at the moment. They need something to gee themselves up. 2 balls remaining of this over. Hatzoglu just drifting down leg side. It's an easy single once more. Deep square, hauls it back into Chris Cook. Yeah, it requires something at the moment.
It does, it must be said. Sophia Gardens looks an absolute picture here in the sunshine with the crowd and enjoying themselves, but it's really, really well poised, this game at the moment.
Going at 11.3 runs is the current run rate. That's high into the leg side, and it's a massive 6 once more. And that is Paul Walter's 53 of 24 balls. It's a fine innings from Paul Walter, who raises his bat and accepts the applause here at Cardiff. Fine innings.
4 4s, 4 6s.
And Essex will just want him to stay there to take this one away from Glamorgan.
Well, he had a really slow start. I think he was 8 off 9 at one point. But since then he's found the middle of his bat and he's hit some brilliant shots. He's a big guy. The boundaries here are not enormous, and but he's clearing them by a long, long way.
Yeah, they're in on the leg side. Well, leg side for him as a left-handed batsman, and that was the final ball of the over. 151 for 4 then, as Van der Hoogten returns to the attack.
Yeah, it's a fairly central wicket this evening. We're just looking slightly to our left from the commentary box, probably just one strip away from the centre of the square. Van der Hoogten, who took some tap in his last over, finds Critchley driving towards wide, long on, single taken. 152 for 4. Walter, Critchley, Sams, Buttleman, Harmer, Snater and Sam Cook to come, as Van der Hoogten back in the side tonight after missing 5 games with a side strain. We'll be hoping he's in one piece to bowl a few overs alongside James and others. And Durham, as that slammed over cover point, and it's just eluded the fielder there and carried for half a dozen more for Walter.
Well, how on earth this has gone for 6? Tim van der Guten's tried to bowl a wide Yorker. He's hit it pretty well. Paul Walters sort of swung his bat at it and got obviously a decent chunk, and it's just gone over cover for 6. It's a brilliant shot. Paul Walters sort of looked around the field before that ball, but I think he knows in his mind if he gets a full bat on it, it's going a long way over the fielders.
Remarkable innings this, 59 already from Walter. Van der Hoogten bowls, clubbed out towards mid-wicket, should be just a single. Callum Taylor is the fielder there. Hand of apology to Chris Cook because the throw was not too accurate. Walter to 60 off 26 deliveries. Well, we saw quite some hitting from Laurie Evans, Will Jackson, Sam Curran, and we're seeing more from the visitors tonight. 159 for 4, 14th over. Van der Hoogten bowls, and that's through Critchley as he tries to swat it on the leg side through to Chris Cook, who hasn't had many Ball's beating the bat and heading his way this evening. Almost took off a fine catch earlier on off Pepper. Couldn't quite hang on. Pepper made 42 off 19, Das 22 off 9, and Walter continuing the wreckage, and he tries a ramp and is caught at short fine leg. So Critchley has gone, and Van der Hoogten has his first wicket back in the side.
Big moment that for Glamorgan. Wickets are needed here to try and stem this flow of runs. Paul Walter down the other end is striking it well, but to get rid of Match Critchley is important. He's tried to ramp one over short 45, and Tim has tried to go full and bowl a Yorker. Matt Critchley's got it just on the full toss, but it's hit it pretty flat, and a good catch from Jimmy McIlroy there at 45. 5 down now, Essex, and it'll be interesting to see if they can sort of try and carry on this momentum without running out of batsmen with just over 6 overs left in the innings.
Yeah, I guess we're too deep into the innings for Essex to have to rebuild at all, and let's just give the strike to Walter, I guess.
That'll be their plan right now, I think, and I think everybody knows this is another good wicket, so they're going to need a big score. They're on track for one here, but with Daniel Sams coming in, overseas player, fine cricketer from Australia, strikes a very long ball as well, so he'll probably take a few balls here to get his eye in, but yeah, look for him to start trying to clear the boundary pretty soon.
He has played for New South Wales and for Australia in the T20 format, 10 internationals. He's played plenty of Big Bash and IPL as well. Averages 18 with the bat this year. But the Essex bowling figures are pretty impressive. As Van der Hoogten bowls, and Sams is off the mark, just guiding one down to backwards square for the single. 160 for 5. It's the end of Van der Hoogten's over, and he has 1 for 47 after 3 overs. I think T20 bowling figures these days have to be read out at 9 o'clock at night after Watershed.
It's yeah, it makes some nasty reading sometimes when you think of cricket years gone past. But the way the batters are striking the ball these days, seam bowlers on. Tim's bowled a couple of overs in the power play. Bowled quite nicely, but took some tap, which can often happen, and he's come back there, gone for a boundary, and picked up an important wicket. So Rory Smith back in the attack now, got really good figures in the context of this game. At the moment, 2 for 9, off 2 overs.
So 6 overs remaining. And Rory Smith comes back into the attack from the taff end. And Daniel Sams, the Australian, will face. Here comes Rory Smith, and is slashed, just evades point, and it'll run across the boundary for 4. So I think he's got his eye in.
Well, that went completely the opposite direction from where he was trying to hit it, but it's just as effective going straight to the boundary. Yeah,
in and out, and it went for 4. Sams, who played for the Sydney Sixers in the Big Bash.
Talk about cricket changing and evolving. I think Daniel Sams is one of the guys who's just turned down a state contract in Australia. He's gone favouring just going down the white ball route. I'm going to play around the world, I think, if he can.
As Smith trudges in from the taff end, and that's a good length ball. There's an appeal for LBW, just straying down leg side, I think. But it is a dot ball, which is important at this period of the game. 5.4 overs remaining, 164 for 5. Essex still should get easily to the 200. Well, they'll be targeting that plus more. Wicket's the key as Smith comes in off his run-up from the far side, the taff end, past the umpire, over the wicket, and that's just past short cover for just a single. Haul back in to Chris Cook. Well, that is the way of the world at the moment. That the players are turning down the red ball stuff. Unfortunately, it's the modern way.
It is. We've seen the landscape change so much in the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years, and I think that's only set to continue. I don't think it's fully set on what the kind of world schedule is going to look like and where all these tournaments kind of slot together. So there's still probably a big evolution to come in the next 4 or 5 years, but there's never been any better time, I don't think, to be a professional cricketer than right now.
Smith switches to around the wicket to left arm Walter, who misses out, and he's very frustrated. Hasn't cashed in there on a short ball and goes through to Cook for no run. So is America that evolution? Because we keep on saying that, don't we? We're saying that is where cricket could get to.
I think so. There's a lot of things that the America's the really interesting one for cricket in this country because they play in the same window that we do.
Yeah.
And that's probably the first and only one probably who would do that.
Smith comes in round the wicket, and that's paddled away brilliantly to behind square for 4 by Walter. That's another boundary. 64 from 28.
It's been a fine innings so far from Paul Walter. Another boundary there. Rory Smith trying to nail his Yorker. It was probably 6-8 inches, probably too full. Turned into a low full toss, and Paul Walters whipped around the corner to the boundary.
I can guarantee one man who will play in America is Colin Ingram. He's played everywhere.
He has. He's played for a lot of teams, Colin, so far in his career.
Rory Smith comes in round the wicket, banged it short, and that's just helped on the way. Is it going to go fine? Yes, it is. Past Tatsoglu for 4. Just misdirected one, did Rory Smith. Shakes his head in disgust. And it was just guided, helped along the way past Chris Cook. And it's another boundary for Essex. So that was the end of Rory Smith's over. And they moved on to 173 for 5. So what was that? 13 coming off the 15th.
Yeah, slow ball bumper there, slow ball bouncer there, sorry, last ball from Rory, trying to get out of his over, trying to get Paul Walter just to knock it to one of his fielders, and he's managed to get it fine, just past Chris Cook, just fine of fine leg and down to the boundary. So still picking up boundaries here, Essex, when Glamorgan really be hoping to try and stop them to just singles and twos.
5 to go, so the Surrey landmark of 236 for 2 is still within sight for Essex. Not that Essex will be particularly worried about what Surrey did, but shows you the scale of the task facing Glamorgan potentially as Van der Hoogten bowls. Smashed away on the leg side. It's cleared the fields. It's cleared the ropes by about 5 metres. Sam Northeast caught it, but he was nowhere near the boundary at the time, about 5 metres behind.
There's just no protection on that side. If you catch it, it's just impossible to
It's really interesting. So Cardiff, you'd say, would be really big square and really short straight, but the way we've set up the boundaries this year, it's fairly similar the whole way around. The pockets in the corners are a bit bigger, but there really isn't a long boundary to try and defend.
179 for 5. Van der Hoogten bowls. Sams plays that one on the offside for a single, down to point. 180 for 5. So the trumpet's sounding a little bit forlorn. 180 for 5. The crowd, I'm sure, will give Glamorgan's batters all the support they can, but Van der Hoogten is not looking terribly happy with life. 180 for 5. 16th over. 11.7 the run rate. Last wicket, Critchley and Walter, was a partnership of 54 in about 4 overs. So Essex, apart from that brief lull just after the power play, going strong. There's another big one from Walter. He's tucked in and he's hit that one somewhere towards the pavilion as it thuds a few rows back for 6 runs again.
Yeah, they're really looking to take on the bowling now with not many overs left, and Tim just trying to bowl one on a length there. I think he might have tried to bowl a Yorker, just missed it a little bit short, and Paul Walter swung it away over the leg side, and he's making the boundaries look tiny really, how far over he's hitting this ball.
186 for 5. Walter to 74 not out. Straight drives it down the ground. It should be picked up by Smith. They'll turn and come back for a second. They'll have to hurry as Smith's throw scuds just past the stumps, and they are safely home for 2 runs. 188 for 5. You'll have to put an arm around him in the team meeting or something before the next game, James.
I know how this feels, trust me. I've been for a few times in sort of T20 games.
Van der Hoogten bowls, slammed away on the offside by Walter. but straight to northeast on the boundary, so just a single. 188 for 5. As we welcome back BBC Radio Wales listeners with Essex 189 for 5. Last ball of the 16th over coming up. They're going at virtually 12 runs and over, give or take, and the man doing most damage to the Glamorgan cause is Paul Walter, 77 not out off 32 balls. Van der Hoogten bowling to Sams, low full toss, hit towards wide, long on. Smith manages to field on the first bounce and gets his throw in quickly on the turn to keep them down to a single somehow. 190 for 5, 17 off that over, but we've had so many big overs from Essex, James.
Yeah, we have. Timmy van der Guten's finished his quota of 4. He's had a tough night.
One for
but we
64.
know how much of a quality bowler Timmy is and how great a season he's having. But it's been a really entertaining 16 overs so far in this game. From a Glamorgan point of view, we're slightly behind, I suppose. We would like to keep Essex to a slightly lower toll so far, but there's 4 overs to go, and with a couple of wickets, we can hopefully keep it under control. What we know so far is that the wicket is an absolute belter again here at Cardiff. So any score that Essex gets, I'm sure we'll have a really good chance at trying to chase down.
But Essex will be targeting the 230 plus mark that Surrey managed against Glamorgan on Wednesday. That is slashed to deep mid-off, and there is a single, long off rather. Peter Hatzoglu is in the attack from the taff end. Yeah, what are they looking at here? They definitely could get to that mark, could they? To the 230-ish.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you're looking to try and keep him, if you're Glamorgan here, to try and keep him to 10 and over, maybe less than 10 and over if you can. But I mean, even that gets Essex towards 240. The only way you keep him to less is by taking more and more wickets, and we need Peter Hatzoglu here to get us a couple.
Paul Walters, 77 on strike. Hatzoglu, and again Walters given himself some width. It's going to be cut off on the extra cover boundary, just for a single. Current run rate 11.7 with 3.4 overs remaining. So Essex will be trying to cash in with Daniel Sams, the Australian all-rounder, on strike. Very experienced, played around the world in the IPL in his second season. 10 T20 internationals for his homeland, as another Australian comes in now. Hatzoglu bangs that one in short. That's pulled away, didn't come off the meat of the bat. Hauled in to Chris Cook, just a single again.
Yeah, so slightly different tactics here from Glamorgan to Paul Walter. They've got deep square leg up in the circle, and they've got a deep backward point out, so which kind of means that Peter Hatzoglu is going to try and bowl it into the wicket, try and push it across Paul Walter, and try and get him to hit it out to those fielders.
Sophia Gardens bathed in sunshine. A fair crowd here for this fixture this evening as Hatzoglu comes in. Good length ball, and there's a man out at long off. It's taken, and there's an important wicket. And Glamorgan needed that. It was Ingram that was out there. Didn't catch it that time, Paul Walter, but it's a fine innings from the left-hand batsman. 78 coming from 33, and if they're going to go on to win this one, he's had a big impact.
He's played brilliantly, Paul Walter, after quite a slow start. Sort of as we mentioned a bit earlier on, he struck the ball beautifully post that and hit a lot of boundaries. Peter Hatzoglu, we needed that wicket. He's come back on. He's managed to induce a false shot, and Colin Ingram took a good catch there at long off. Pretty simple one, but one we desperately needed to take.
So Walter goes for 78.
Career best.
Second catch that Ingram's taken this evening.
Just 2 past his previous best of 76.
That brings Captain Simon Harmer, the South African-born player, to the crease. Plenty of experience, 10 tests. Simon Harmer. So he's about to face his first ball. 2 to go in Peter Hatzoglu's over. Here he comes past the umpire, and that's just dabbed into the offside for a single. If they can get another one, another quick one here, you know, one leads to another.
Absolutely, this is a really good over so far. We got 4 singles and a wicket off the 5 balls. This is exactly what we need if we can keep Essex down to to a more manageable total. Getting Daniel Sams out here would be really important if we can manage that.
Final ball then. Sams, the Australian on strike, just taking the pace off that one. Peter Hatzoglu. It's dabbed down to long on. There's a single, so more than a decent over for Peter Hatzoglu. A wicket and 5 runs coming off that one. So just what the doctor ordered at the crucial time.
A brilliant over in the context of the game. It's been a really up and down innings. We're looking at the sort of skyscrapers now on the feed, and there's been some massive overs in this innings and some really good ones. We had a maiden earlier on from Rory Smith with a couple of wickets. We've had some good overs of sort of 5 and 6, but we've also had some really big overs that have been struck by the Essex batters. So 3 overs to go here. 2 more probably from Jamie McElroy, who's done really, really well at the death so far. Left arm, hitting his York as well, hitting his slow ball. So 2 big overs here, and if we can nail these last 3 innings well, we should hopefully keep them to something we can chase.
Yeah, McElroy's taken 9 wickets in the competition before today, so 10 now. His economy rate was 8.1 coming into this game, as he's into bowl and chopped onto his pads by Sams as he swung hard, and I think that might have caught him on the toe, James.
It looked like he's hit it straight into his toe, which for some reason seems to hurt even more sometimes.
Self-inflicted wound. Jamie McElroy, 28 years old, shaven-headed, came into the county game quite late in his second half of his 20s, and played national counties cricket before that, as that sees Sams launching another big attempted shot, but just inside edging it down to fine leg for a single. 196 for 6. And he's responded well, hasn't he, McElroy, to being given more opportunities this year?
Yeah, look, he's probably been our best bowler so far, you'd have to say, in the competition. Certainly best seamer. He's hit his length nicely up front. He's had a bit of swing. That left arm over angle, I think, really helps, and he's hit his Yorkers as well at the end.
McElroy bowls short, slower ball, and pulled by Harmer out into the leg side. Single taken out to northeast at mid-wicket, 197 for 6, and giving you a bit of variety in the attack with the left arm that you haven't had since Graham Wagg, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to make a really big difference. You see T20 teams all over the world looking for left arm seamers. The angle seems to be harder for the batters by all accounts.
197 for 6 as again Sams chops one hard onto its pads. This time it trickles out on the offside, and there is just the single. 198 for 6, so the visitors just slowing down a fraction in the last couple of overs, having had some 20 plus overs along the way. McElroy bowls short, pulled hard out to square leg, just the single. 199 for 6. The crowd noise restored to a low buzz in the Friday evening sunshine here in the Welsh capital. Last ball of McElroy's 3rd over. Van der Hoogten won for 64. Smith and McElroy will probably be the bowlers for the last 2, as Sams tries to hit big down the ground, but hits it up to Ingram at long on for the single. So the applause for the 200, but the applause also for another economical over, just 5 off. 200 for 6 with 2 overs left, and if Glamorgan can keep it down, it sounds stupid, to 220, then that'll be a little bit of a comeback.
Big time from the position Essex found themselves in a couple of overs back. It's been a really good fight back. I mean, with the last 2 overs going for I think 10 has really helped us out so far, with a wicket as well. So getting rid of the dangerous Paul Walter. 1 more over from Rory Smith there, and 1 more from Jamie McElroy. If we can close this well, keep it to 220, maybe under, that'd be a really good effort, I think, from where we were.
Yeah, they've hit back Glamorgan, 10 coming from the last 2 overs, as Smith comes back into the attack from the tough end, and that's scooped. It's the ramp shot over the man at fine leg, who's in at the 45, and goes all the way down to the boundary.
That's a pretty good Yorker from Rory Smith. I think he's done exactly what he tried to do there, but unfortunately Daniel Sams was sort of crouched down, ready to scoop it over over short 45 for the only man inside the circle on the leg side, and that's one of the real challenges of white ball cricket these days. The batters can hit you all over the place, and just hitting your Yorkers as would have happened in years gone past with batsmen just knocking it into the leg side for a single, because that's all they could have done with it at the time. Having someone get down and scoop that over short 45 for a boundary has really changed the game.
Not only has it changed the game, it's changed Test cricket. We're seeing these remarkable shots now in the long format of the game as Smith comes in past the umpire from the tough end, and that's whacked into the man at wide mid-off, and Van der Hoogten just completely lost it.
You know what's happened there? He was running across along the boundary, and the ball's just checked up. It's just landed in the turf a yard in front of him, and it's just stopped. So Tim, travelling at the speed he couldn't stop and get back to the ball.
We've just seen the replay. Just
backspin.
Yeah. So that's a valuable 4 runs for Essex. 208 for 6. Smith comes in. That's full, and that's well picked up by Chris Cook, because that could have gone right down fine to the boundary. I mean, you just take Ben Stokes' innings in Headingley in 2019. I mean, those shots were unbelievable. They were unbelievable at T20 level, let alone Test cricket.
Absolutely, and it does just show now. You see batters looking around the field, but if with the size of the bats and with how strong they are and with the beautiful swings that they have, if they connect with it, it doesn't matter where the fielders are, the ball's going to go out the ground.
Remember that reverse sweep from Nathan Lyon as Smith comes in. That's full, and not just. I thought he was going to be caught for a minute. But it's another couple as they come back. 210 for 6 with the Ashes starting, incidentally, a week from now.
It's an exciting summer, isn't it?
Yeah, can't believe that the first test is on the 16th of June, but there we are.
And finished before the end of July.
Yeah, well, I think that's something to do with something called the 100, but we can debate that until the cows come home. But yeah, it should be an intriguing matchup. Two sides very even as Smith comes in. That's going to be a wide. It's easy to say. It's all going to be on that first test.
It's going to be a fabulous summer. I mean, I think the Ashes is always exciting when it comes around, but this one, for whatever reason, with Ben Stokes and his team under Brendan McCullum playing the brand of cricket
is that brand going to stand up? That is the question. And
well, they're going to try
onslaught.
They're going to try it, absolutely. It's going to be very exciting to watch.
But that's another matter. 211 at Essex for 6 with 2 balls remaining of the Rory Smith. There's a chance of caught and bowled. It was slammed on the full by Sams. Didn't quite get out of the meat of the bat, but there's no run. Just 1 ball of this penultimate over. It's not a bad one from Rory Smith. Yeah, just spliced that one completely.
Couldn't quite get his hand underneath it in the follow through. No, didn't quite carry, about a couple of inches short, I think.
So this the last ball then. Glamorgan trying to tighten up at the end of the Essex innings, and Sams went for the ramp, and it's hit leg stump, and it's another wicket. So very angry with himself is Daniel Sams, but some effective T20 bowling from Rory Smith.
Good bowling from Rory. Nailed his Yorker. He needed it. Last ball of his spell. Bottom of leg stump. Daniel Sams trying to ramp it over short 45 again. Missed it. An important wicket for Glamorgan. 11 off the over. With a good finish here, hopefully from Jimmy McIlroy, Glamorgan can put some pads on and try and chase this down.
So Smith finished with 3 for 33 in his 4 overs. Tim van der Hoogten 1 for 64, say it quickly. Peter Hatzoglu was 2 for 38 in his 4. Zain Ul Hassan bowled 2 overs for 23. And Kieran Carlson 2 overs for 27. Jamie McIlroy then to bowl. Yorker length and clubbed away by Harmer. They'll take 2 runs. Oh, there's a slight misfield from Ul Hassan, but North East is behind him to pick it up. 2 runs, 213 for 7, 5 balls of the innings left here on BBC Sport Wales Online, on BBC Radio Wales, and on the Glamorgan Club website as well. Welcome along wherever you're watching or listening, as that's pulled hard for A catch on the boundary, well taken by Sam North East. Jamie McElroy claims the wicket. Simon Harmer hit that hard and low, and I thought it was going to go for 6, but North East managed to get there and pull off a catch, plunging to his right on the boundary rope.
Good finishing from here from Glamorgan. Essex were 190 with 4 overs to go, and with 4 balls left. They're 213 for 7 now. 8 down now. Good catch from Sam North East there on the boundary. Bouncer from Jamie McElroy and pulled straight to the fielders. So getting hit to his fielders is exactly what he'd be trying to do. So I'll be happy that he's managed that there, and a big 4 balls here for Glamorgan, but we're fighting back well at the end of this innings.
And North East has done well to keep his feet in the air there as he slid and just away from the boundary rope. Shane Snater, the Zimbabwean-born Netherlands international, is the new bat, and McElroy following him. He strike drives, but it's intercepted by Andy Galvin, who's on as a sub-fielder. Noticed who's gone off, so hopefully it's not another injury of any impart. 214 for 8. 3 balls of the Essex innings to come. McElroy to Will Buttleman, batting down the order, tries... what shot is that? It's gone for 4 anyway, that's the key fact. What shot was that, James?
I don't know how to describe that. He's gone to try and play a reverse sweep. I think Jimmy McElroy's seen him, bowled him a bouncer, and it's ended up kind of sort of reverse pulling it. Sort of between, backward, what can we call that? Yeah, backward square on the offside. Nearly fell over the batsman, but an incredible bit of skill, really.
Oh, that's due to that first ball. I've no idea. 218 for 8. So Glamorgan will be chasing somewhere around 11 runs per over. McElroy to Buttleman, who has opened for Essex in the past, and he pulls that one for 6 down towards the River Taff, and that might have stunned a cyclist or 2 along the way. 224 for 8, and Essex finishing strongly.
Possibly telegraphed that ball, what he was going to bowl, a little bit too much there. Third man went back, mid-on came up, so we had mid-on and mid-off inside the 30-yard circle, which sort of told the batsman it had to be short, but Buttleman got inside it, managed to get it over fine leg for 6. It's a brilliant shot.
10 off 2 for Will Buttleman, who has batted much further up the order, but will probably have the gloves on. McElroy in to Buttleman, who tries another sort of scoop, and there's a run out, I think. Yeah, up goes the finger at square leg as Chris Cook shied at the stumps there.
Let's give it a wide.
It's a wide and a run out. Okay. So
harsh, Chris, a harsh call of a wide.
That's bizarre. That's bizarre, because the batter's dancing around all over the place anyway.
Batsman's gone a long way across his stumps. The ball, Jimmy McElroy's bowled a Yorker that just missed leg stump. The batsman went through to try and run a single or a bye to Chris Cook, who strung the stumps down.
They tried to run an overthrow as well, but the finger had gone up. So that's 1 wide and a wicket. 225 for 9. They'll be filling up the scorebook if it were... Well, they still are doing manually. Dr. Hignell will have to write rather small on this over, I think. 225 for 9, last ball, and there's another attempt at a run out. They've run through for a bye. It hasn't been given, so it's a bye 1 to the Essex total, and they finish on 226 for 9 after their 20 overs. And well, those last couple of balls, it was all happening, James.
Yeah, lots happened. That was largely, I think, the same ball as the ball that was bowled before, but that one wasn't given a wide for some reason, whereas the one before was. Pretty good finish for Glamorgan. They went for 36 there after the last sort of 4 overs, which in the context of the game so far and how many runs have been scored was a good effort. It looks a good wicket. It's going to be a tough chase. It's a big chase, but it's gettable.
So Snater was run out for 1, Cook was not out, noughts. They ran a bye off the last ball. Buttleman was not out, 11. The main contributors: Walter 78 off 34, Pepper 42 off 19. required run rate 11.3. It's quite daunting, James. That's probably a bit above par for Essex, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a tough, it's a tough time when you got to chase over 200 in a T20 game. What we know, as we've said a few times tonight already, the pitch looks good. The outfield's quick. The batters have been playing really well. So with Colin Ingram and Chris Cook playing as well as they have done so far in the middle order, we'll feel like anything's chaseable at the moment. We just need to get off to a good start and get some momentum in our batting innings. We managed to do pretty well towards the end of the bowling innings there, to only go for sort of 36 in the last 4 overs. But we need a good start in the power play and to put some pressure back on Essex.
Runs and wickets galore at Sophia Gardens. We'll be back in just under 10 minutes to continue the story.
Okay, Sophia Gardens, Nidical, Noson Bar, Heath and Hayden. Well, a good evening so far, but it's time for some serious entertainment here on the pitch. It's time for the Thatcher's Challenge. It's quite simple. We'll have 2 teams going head to head. They roll up beautiful apples from one side up to the partner thing. The first one back wins a lovely crate of Thatcher's. We've got 2 pests here. What's your name and where you from? Okay, you've done anything like this before in your life? How would you rate the chances of winning with your partner over there? You fancy the chances? Who is your partner? Is he any good?
My partner is an actor. He's one of our all-stars players.
That's pressure. You're all watching in the stands. You're from the same group, is that correct? And what's your name? Anthony, you look like you're kind of a determined kind of guy, steel focus. Are you going to take this? Very, very competitive. Okay, go take your positions, guys. I wish you all the best. It's a big prize, remember, a crate of Thatchers. Okay, you go on my command. Are you both ready? Happy? Okay. Cameraman, watch yourself. 3, 2, 1, go! Pick a side, guys, as they go. Two fierce rivals with their friends as well. A healthy rivalry. It's neck and neck at this halfway stage. There's a crash in the middle. Watch where you're going, guys! Oh, we need a photo finish! Oh! They've taken out the steward's chair and everything. Guys, come back over here. Come back. Do you know what? Whatever your angle was, I don't know what you thought that was, but I was right on the finishing line. As you're from the same group, that was a photo finish, and I'm going to say that was a complete draw. So you both win the picture share. How are you feeling about that? Tired. Did you enjoy yourself, though? Excellent. Do you know at one point you were actually pushing him along? Did you enjoy that? Yeah, the videos will be on social media. Was everyone filming that? Are you happy with everything on social media? Yes, got no choice. Hey, give him a massive round of applause. Fantastic stuff.
Felly i groesawu nôl ein cyfarwydd Caius fel the back our umpires Ray Lloyd and Tom Ludley. A reminder, Glamorgan need 2-7 to win. So let's make some noise and show your support for the home side.
And Moro Heed sounding out across Sophia Gardens lets you know that Glamorgan are starting their pursuit of 227 to win this T20 match here on BBC Sport Wales Online, with Kieran Carlson and Sam Northeast coming to the wickets. Commentary team of Glamorgan's James Harris alongside Kenneth Davis and myself. If you are just joining us, the highlights of the Essex innings: 78 off 34 balls from tall Paul, 6'7" Paul Walter, who fully used that reach to smack 6 fours and 6 sixes. 42 from Michael Pepper, 30 from Daniel Sams. Glamorgan's principal wicket takers: 3 for 33 from Rory Smith, 2 for 38 for Peter Hatzoglu. And well, we're in for another run feast, we would hope. Kenneth Davis to take up commentary.
Thank you, Nick. Rini Amauhi, dare I say, some of the Glamorgan faithful might have left not because of the cricket, perhaps of over-exuberance. A few having liquid lunches, no doubt, as the first ball of the Glamorgan innings. And it will be a single for Kieran Carlson. So these two will open. There's been a fair few disruptions in terms of injuries. Of course, Lloyd and Bevan were long-term absentees anyway. Eddie Byron going down, and it looks as if that's a nasty one. And could be on the sidelines far longer than one would have thought.
Yeah, Eddie's got a really nasty injury to his hip. He sort of pulled a tendon off the bone, so he's out for a little while, I think.
So Sam comes in, and that's well, it was hit back to Walter at mid-on, and there's no run. So the required run rate is at the moment 11.4. The target 227. It's a tall order for Glamorgan, who are eyeing their 5th victory of this campaign. Probably 7 or 7-ish, 7, 8 would be enough to get them through. So the Australian Daniel Sams left arm over the wicket, and that's paddled away nicely behind the man at fine leg, and that's the first Glamorgan boundary of the innings.
Lovely start from Sam North East. He hit his first ball, a beautiful on drive, classical on drive to mid-on for no run, but this one he tucks off his legs for 4. Nice to see Sam find some form the other night. A little bit of form he's been searching for, 74 on Wednesday. Hope to make him feel a lot better.
Just thought he was searching for it early on in the first few matches. Even he had 30 down at Sussex, but even then he was perhaps trying to push things. But he's back. He's back in the runs with 70 plus against Surrey. And North East on strike. Sam's comes in, and that's pushed away into the offside, and they'll pick up a single.
Yeah, Sam finding form the other night was great to see. He struggled a little bit so far this summer after a brilliant first summer with Glamorgan last year, and we know what an important player he is for us, so hopefully he can continue that on tonight. Kieran's been in great form so far this year, a couple of hundreds in the championship, going brilliantly. So yeah, we've got some guys in form with Colin Ingram and Chris Cook, our 2 big guns to follow up.
As Calon Land reverberates around Sophia Gardens, a change from Mawheed as Sams comes in, left arm over the wicket, just put some width on that, and that's hit not cleanly. It'll go over the man at mid-off, slung back in. Glamorgan will pick up a couple. Hand in mouth time for a time anyway.
Kieran trying to take the attack there to the bowler Daniel Sams, tried to hit one down the ground, ended up chipping it over mid-off quite comfortably, I think. Simon Harmer was never really within chance of catching that, and the boys camper back for a couple.
Just to give you a recap, Essex was 67 off the power play, so Glamorgan will try and make hay here. Sams coming in, and that's edged nicely. Is it behind the man on the boundary? Yes, it is. Lovely placement by Kieran Carlson. So a boundary brings Glamorgan to 12 off that first over.
Shows how good the wicket is there. Kieran Carlson just waited for that to come and knocked it past the guy who was on the ring at short third man and managed to beat the guy out at a deep backward point on the boundary. So 12 for none off the first over, and a perfect start, really.
Yeah, talking to Sam North East on Wednesday night, and I was sort of trying to intimate without being rude in the questioning that he'd had a bit of a slow start to the season. He just said, well, I haven't been at my fluent best. So which is the sort of thing I would have said in the commentary box, but it's interesting to hear players being honest like that as North East plays that first ball from Sam Cook into the offside, and there is no run. Is he really known as Little Chef Sam Cook? Or is
Sam
that made
Cook,
up?
he could be. I'm not sure.
Because Alistair
he
Cook
very much could be.
Is decade or
He
whatever.
could well be known as
than-
Little Chef. He's a fabulous bowler, Sam Cook. He really is.
So, some of these nicknames, you wonder if they've been actually made up by the media, but there we are. That's what we read. Sam Cook is into bowl. The North East swings and misses, and the ball passing between the batter and the leg stump. There was a quarter of an appeal from Cook.
It can't be as bad as some of the rugby nicknames, Nick.
36. 12 threes.
Yeah, that is a good one. There is some thought in that one.
There's some thought in that one. That one just past the leg bail, and frustration on the face of Sam Cook, who's in to Sam North East, who cuts and will get 4 runs here, just placing it past backward point. And Michael Pepperett, third man, was never in the game there. 16 without loss, Glamorgan. It's all about placement, isn't it?
It is. It showed his class there, Sam. He lost his shape a little bit on the one before and had a bit of a swing at it, and it went to the keeper for a dot ball, but just waited on that. Sam Cook gave him a little bit of width, and look, he placed it beautifully in the gap, and another boundary for Glamorgan.
16 for naught. North East has 9 of them, and he's swung at that one outside off stump and not made contact. Through to the keeper. It is Will Buttleman with the gloves. Pepper's also been known to keep wicket, and they had Rossington doing the job earlier in the week as well. Essex are in a busy spell of games. This is actually their 4th. They played Tuesday, Wednesday as well as Sunday. as North East hits this one towards mid-off, has not timed that at all well, and it reaches the fielder on the first bounce. Slightly aerial, but thankful he didn't time it a little bit better. Good start from Cook generally. Just the one scoring shot in these first 5 deliveries from the 25-year-old, who's really in form this week. 8 wickets over the last couple of games, 11 in all at an average of 16.7. As in he comes, and North East tries the ramp and misses. 16 for naught, so good over from Cook, and that is 2 overs gone. Glamorgan chasing 227 for victory.
Yeah, really good over from Sam Cook, just the 1 boundary there, but Glamorgan will be pretty happy with his start. I mean, 16 off the first 2, no wickets, that's going to be the key, I think. You know, if we can keep going really hard at this power play, we want to really be matching them, I think. So I think 67 was the Essex total, so punching somewhere towards that would be a Glamorgan target. Certainly 60 on the board from these first 6, but trying to keep some wickets in hand as well, and keep putting pressure on the bowlers. If we can keep up with the rate for as long as we can, the bowlers will start feeling more and more under pressure and give us more boundaries, hopefully.
And putting them under pressure while the big guns of Ingram and Cook come in later. Change of bowling, and that's clubbed away. 1 bounce through the mid-wicket boundary for 4, and a few more of those would be appreciated by the Glamorgan faithful as Kieran Carlson bangs one and he goes to 11.
Shane Snater into the attack.
Yeah, the Zimbabwean Dutch international who's been with the county since 2018 starts his long run up from the Cathedral Road end past the umpire, right arm over the wicket. That just got big on Kieran Carlson, just a bit startled as it went off the edge down to the man at third man. It's a bit of a strange one.
Slightly, Kieran's sort of suggesting to Sam there that it bounced a little bit. I think Shane Snater just trying to bowl that back of a length. Kieran just managed to get himself in a little bit of a tangle, but the ball came off the edge, went down to third man, and had a single on the board.
James Harris here on BBC Radio Wales as Shane Snater comes in past the umpire, and that's a bit of a messy shot at best, and it just ricochets into the onside for a single. 22 for no wicket. Glamorgan in the 3rd over. Carlson on 12, North East on 10. They are chasing 227 to win, and it's a hefty total as Shane Snater comes in past the umpire, right arm over, and that's a swing and a miss from Kieran Carlson. They have to keep calm here, James Harris, that is the thing. They need wickets in hand, and they can't get ahead of themselves either. They can't panic.
They do, absolutely. You still need to play proper shots, proper cricket shots, still win out. And you know, with 2 men outside the circle in these first 6 overs, for the most part, proper cricket shots played strongly will see you pretty well. Kieran's come down the track there and just sort of missed one.
Orthodox field, 2 men permitted outside the 30 as Snater comes in. That's high, and that is going to evade everyone. Is it going to go all the way? Yes, it has. It's a welcome 6 off the bat of Kieran Carlson. Flashed away behind fine leg, it went all the way towards the River Taff end, and it's a positive start for Carlson and Sam North East. Just dug in slightly short of a length, and Snater paid the price.
It was actually we just seen the replay here in the box, and it was a cross seam delivery from Shane Snater. He's obviously tried not to get any swing, or just trying to hit the wicket and hopefully try and get some up and down.
Last ball of Shane Snater's over, and that's just prodded away. It's a missed field actually at backward point. And they come back. Good running between the wickets from these two, North East and Carlson, and they moved on to 30 for no wicket. So it's a confident start in reply. I'm just getting the Essex tally. They were 35 actually off the first 3 overs, but it's a good reply, James Harris, from Carlson and Sam North East.
Yeah, great opening start. 3 overs, 30 on the board. Crucially, no wickets down, and a Kieran Carlson and a Sam North East who look like they're playing some pretty good cricket shots at the moment. So it's the next 3 overs. The first 3 kind of set the sort of start of the tempo, and you try and get try and get off to a good start, not lose any wickets. But it's the second 3 overs in this power play which the batters really try and target.
14 coming off that last over.
Sam Cook to continue from the River Taff end here on BBC Radio Wales, and that's up in the block hole, well bowled, and nothing Sam Northeast could do about that one as he dug it out straight to cover. I think Shane Snater, once he retires from cricket, has got an alternative career as a shampoo model with the bouncing barnet that he's got, with a few streaks in it as well. Wish I had that much hair up top. 30 for naught. Glamorgan in the 4th over, chasing 227 to win. Short ball pulled away by Northeast, but he's picked out the fielder on the mid-wicket boundary, and it'll be just the single. 31 for naught.
Big change of field here from Sam Cook. He's got all his men up on the offside. He's got 2 men back on the leg side at deep mid-wicket and deep backward square leg. So going to try and bowl a really tight line. Yorker first ball to Sam Northeast. Bouncer second ball. But he's going to make sure he doesn't give any width here to the batsman.
Carlson on strike on 20 as he's had a big swing and hit it to mid-on. Didn't really middle that. Takes the single, does Kieran Carlson. Small man, big shots at the moment from the Glamorgan acting captain, who was due to lead the side in the One Day Cup in August, but is also doing so in Championship and T20 as long as his hand keeps together. Cook bowls, slow full toss, clubbed up and just over Paul Walter, the tallest man on the field, at mid-on. Was that called no ball?
I don't think it was, no. I think it was a slower ball that just should have been a no ball as well.
That is a no ball.
It should have been a no ball.
It's now been called.
It hasn't given.
It's now been called. It was above waist height, so wouldn't have been caught out if it had been caught by tall Paul. Cook to Northeast up in the block hole, squirted away. They might come back for a second. No, they'll decide against it as
good ball.
It's fielded by Sams running round from square leg. 39 without loss. 2 balls left of this 4th over. 227 the target for Glamorgan, facing another big chase. They scored 171 on Wednesday, normally around or above par here, but wasn't nearly enough, as that one is played into the offside by Carlson, and there is a single, no run taken rather. 39 without loss here on BBC Sport Online and on the Glamorgan and Essex websites. Last ball of the 4th over. 2 more in the power play with the fielders in. Cook bowls. Carlson hammers it straight back past him, down the ground for 43 for naught at the end of 4 overs. And well, the captaincy seems to agree with Carlson at the moment. He's hitting the ball very hard indeed.
He is indeed. This is a really good place for Kieran to bat, actually, opening up. He plays some really good cricket shots, and with the field up can get us off to a great start, which is what he's done here. 25 off not very many balls, and 43 for none off 4 overs for Glamorgan. This is exactly the reply we wanted after the Essex batting.
Yeah, Essex were 45, so it's even Stevens at the moment. Obviously things can change very, very quickly. It's very early on, so there is going to be a change at the Cathedral Road end, and it's tall Paul.
All 6'7" of him, left arm.
Paul Walter, who was the main run scorer in the Essex in the 78 of 34. Michael Pepper 42. Daniel Sams chipped in with 30. So the all-rounder Paul Walter comes in from the Cathedral Road end, left arm, round the wicket, and that's turned away, but there is a man at fine end. They chase, that would have been out if a direct hit, and there would have been a wicket, no question. As it was, the throw was wayward, and Glamorgan come through for a single.
It's a big dive from Kieran Carlson on all fours.
I think he
was still out by quite a long way, to be honest, but A lot of cutters I think we're going to see here from Paul Walter. He tends to bowl quite slowly. He's gone with the same field that Sam Cook had with the 2 men out on the leg side.
Walter comes in from the Cathedral Road end, round the wicket, past the umpire, chopped away, and that's finally placed behind point, all the way for 4. And that was all about placement. It wasn't smacked at all. Lovely shot cut by Carlson. He's a man on form at the moment.
It's just a good cricket shot.
Yeah.
Just a good cricket shot, waiting for the ball to come to him. You know, we've spoken at length about how good this wicket is, and he's just placed it in the gap, Kieran, to the offside, and with no man back, that's just raced to the boundary.
48 for no wicket in this power play, and over to go after this one. Walter, that's Fuller, but that's driven, and 1 bounce over long on for 4. So Glamorgan upping the ante here. They're hitting back in style, and they're going after Paul Walter.
Really good batting again from Kieran. Paul Walter's just missed his length, bowled a little cutter but a bit too full. With mid-on and mid-off up, that's easy pickings for Kieran in the form he's in. So a really, really good start here now for Glamorgan.
He's raced on to 33 for 13 as Walter comes in. His 4th ball of the over. It's a ram shot, and didn't quite get that as he would have wanted, Carlson. And it's just a single.
He's got a little bit of bat on it, which has saved him, but he was trying to get it over short 45.
Because he was across his stumps there.
See Kieran 34 off 14 balls, brilliant start.
2 balls to go of Paul Walter's first over from the Cathedral Road end. Glamorgan targeting 2-2-7, 53 for no wicket. Slower ball from Walter, that's chopped away to the offside and stopped at cover, and it's just a single.
Sam Northeast looks better when he's trying to play proper shots, doesn't he, rather than improvising, because he's got an elegant range of shots in his natural game.
So 11 from this over so far. This the final ball. Walter comes in, slower ball once more, dispatched. Lovely, elegant on drive from Kieran Carlson, and Walter kicks the turf in frustration, and that's another profitable over from Glamorgan. Walter expensive in his first, so what was that, 58 for no wicket, so 15 coming from the last over.
Exactly the over Glamorgan needed. A pretty poor over really from Paul Walter. He sort of missed his length a few times there, offered Kieran up a few balls to hit, but hit them he did, and 58 for 9-5 is exactly the sort of fight back he wanted for Glamorgan, and if you're going to chase down this target of 227, it's exactly the start we need. So I think everyone in the dugout will be pretty pleased with how we've gone about this so far.
And this is Kieran Carlson's highest of the season. Previous best 35, lots of cameos of 20s and 30s without quite kicking on, but could tonight be the night? He'll be hoping so, as Daniel Sams, the Australian T20 international, as that is played back to him by Northeast, who is being crowded a little bit by the Essex infield. They're obviously keen to keep Kieran Carlson off strike, and understandably so at the moment. Sams then wearing 95 from the taff end as the shadows stretch across the Sophia Gardens. Left arm bowls, and Northeast has hit that down into ground, has bounced up to the keeper, and a couple of dot balls from Sams to start the over.
We haven't seen Sam Northeast quite at his fluent best yet, 18 off 18, but Kieran Carlson 38 off 15 has really got Glamorgan off to a rollicking start here. Exactly the start we wanted to chase this big score down, and you could just sort of feel like the crowd is warming up a little bit, as if they're really getting into this.
So Sams batting right-handed, bowling left arm. Is into bowl. Northeast has smashed that away over mid-wicket, and it's beaten the despairing dive of the fielder out there, Shane Snater, who goes head over heels in his desperate effort to get to it and palm it infield on the first bounce. And Northeast getting one that was just about on leg stump and smashing it away, just getting enough to beat the fielder. Northeast to 22, 62 for North, 3 balls left of the power play. Can North East clear the field again? As he's played that one into the offside, but has found the man sweeping at point. Feroz Kushi towards the grandstand side of Sophia Gardens. Away to our right, the grandstand is reasonably thickly populated this evening, which is always good to see in the setting sun. 63 for naught. 2 balls left of power play time. Essex was 67 for 2 at this stage. The 6 over mark, that is. Sam's in, bowls, and that's a good ball that Carlson has to stand up on his toes, and he's punched it straight to cover, and there's no run. So intelligent class bowling from the Aussie international. They've got the South African test bowler Simon Harms, one of county cricket's most consistent players over the last half dozen years or so. Essex since 2017. He's to come with his off breaks, and Matt Critchley as well with the leg spin. As Carlson swings and gets one past short fine leg, will it run away? Not quite. It's picked up inside the backward square leg boundary by Snater running round. And that is the end of the power play. 65 without loss, Glamorgan, compared to 67 for 2 for the visitors. So a pretty even game at the moment.
Absolutely, I think Glamorgan will be really, really happy with that start. 65 off 6 still leaves them needing, well, 11.5 and over for the last 14 overs, but to keep pace with Essex, to keep pressure on Essex as a team, to lose no wickets, and to have the bowlers coming on now knowing they're going to be under pressure with Glamorgan in this game. We're in for an exciting second half.
67 then was Essex total after the first power play, as Nick alluded to, so it's very even Stevens, but then they picked up after that. There were a few expensive overs, so still anybody's game at the moment. But the important thing from Glamorgan's perspective, they've got wickets in hand after the first 6, so the power play is at an end, which brings Matt Critchley, the spinner, into the equation. And this will be his first over from the Cathedral Road end, past the umpire, as North East faces, and that's gone past Critchley, and long off can't get to it, and it's another boundary.
You always talk, once the power play finishes, is keep trying to find the boundary and keep trying to hit boundaries, and Sam North East done that brilliantly there, put the pressure straight onto Critchley as he's come on and hit his first ball for 4.
Critchley with his leg breaks, and that's slashed, and that's gone fine, backward point, and it's another 4. 8 in 2 for Glamorgan. This is good stuff from Sam North East, backing up Kieran Carlson, and they're working well in tandem.
And again, proper cricket shots from Sam. I think when Sam hits proper shots in the gaps, he can score as quick as anybody, and we've seen that sort of last year and through his knock on Wednesday.
73 for no wicket. Critchley comes in just short of that time, and they flirt with an idea of going for a single. They thought better of it, and it's about manipulating the field at this stage as well.
Absolutely, yeah. There's obviously gaps to be had for singles, and then other places for boundaries if you need them.
Critchley comes in, and North East came down the track. They come back. It's good running between these pair, and Critchley, well, there's no one there at long on. It was mid on, so it's another couple to Glamorgan's tally. 75 for no wicket. It's a strong reply from Glamorgan, chasing 227. Critchley, and it's a good length ball, but it's dabbed away into the offside, goes to extra cover, and it's just a single, just one ball remaining of this over, and there has been 11 from it so far. So this Critchley's final ball of the over, and this is going to be caught, and it's one of those terrible shots. Carlson goes, he'll be disappointing with that one, and he didn't cash in. It was mistimed, taken at backward point, and it was an easy catch, and that is a bit of a tame, disappointing end to a fine innings from Kieran Carlson.
It's a bit of a shame there to lose Kieran at that stage. We were going so well. Sam had already taken a couple of boundaries off the over. We'd already taken 11 off it to that point. So to lose him there is a bit of a shame, but it was a little bit of a nothing ball, just a leg spinner, just sort of in the middle of the pitch. Kieran's probably trying to hit it.
He was actually the man at 45.
He's aimed something probably quite violent towards long off or deep extra cover, and sort of just managed to spoon it straight up for an easy catch to the guys in the ring at sort of on the 45.
Sam Cook was the catcher.
So a pretty ordinary over comes to an end on a positive note for Essex. It's the first breakthrough for the visitors, with Glamorgan now 76 for 1.
Just looking back in the record books, Glamorgan's highest chase to win a match was against Essex at Chelmsford in 2017, when they were chasing 220. So it would be a record choice if Glamorgan got there. And on that occasion, there was almost inevitably a Colin Ingram 100. And 49 from Chris Cook, and Craig Meshter hit the last 2 balls of the game, I think for 4 and 6 or something like that, to win it. 76 for 1 then, after 7, and they're behind the run rate. Gosh. As new over sees Sam Northeast playing Snater out on the leg side. They'll think of a second run, but decide against it. 77 for 1. Yes, Glamorgan looked to have just fallen short, but a couple of big blows from Meshter silenced the crowd on that occasion. 77 for 1. Glamorgan with a long way to go, as Snater has switched ends to bowl from the River Taff end. Colin Ingram, 274 runs, average 68.5, strike rate of 163. His stats this season. So he had to work hard to get back towards his best, as he chops one down to third man, as he likes to do, to get off the mark. 78 for 1. And Glamorgan need a bit of vintage Kingram tonight.
They do. We've seen Colin in brilliant form so far. Some of the knocks he's played, particularly the partnership with him and Chris against Middlesex, really did show what those two can do when you put them together. And we need a little bit more of that tonight, I think, if we're going to get home.
Snater is in to bowl to Northeast, who pulls, doesn't time it at all, and they'll get a single out to deep mid wicket. 78 for 1 then, Glamorgan in the 8th over, having lost Carlson for 40. Caught Cook, bowled Critchley. Ingram has just come in on 1. Northeast on 36 off 27 deliveries. So that's what, strike rate of 133 for Northeast, which is pretty respectable. But he'll need to up it. Ingram on strike. Snater round the wicket. Ingram plays it through the leg side. Will they be able to pick a couple? No, they won't, as it's fielded by Kushi, the boundary rider, away to our right in front of the grandstand. 80 for 1. So a little bit of a comeback by the Essex bowlers in the last 10 balls, taking the wicket and then keeping down to Glamorgan to singles in this over. Snater runs towards us and bowls to Northeast, who drives to mid-on, has to hurry through for the single, but is safely there by the time the throw comes in. It wasn't collected by the bowler, but it was well backed up. So quieter over for Glamorgan, and they can't afford too many of these. 81 for 1. Need to keep hitting almost 2 boundaries and over, really, to get to their target. Essex picked up plenty of maximums in their innings, 6 of them to Paul Walter, and Colin Ingram hits that towards square leg and just past square leg in the end. Heart in mouth for a moment there, thought he was going to hole out on the boundary. It bounced just inside the ropes, but crucially for Glamorgan, it bounced between the men at square leg and fine leg, and Ingram gets his first boundary. But looking back on the way he played it, he probably did place that ball pretty well. 85 for 1 after 8.
Yeah, Colin's off and running, isn't he? I mean, that's a great little swivel around the corner there. 5 singles up to that point. We needed a boundary. You need a boundary and over when you're chasing a score as big as this. It was a real shame to lose Kieran, actually, and we did in the last, the over before last. But you've got to say it was a brilliant start from him to get the team off 40 off 18 balls to get us off to that sort of flying start we needed. And we find ourselves in a pretty good position here, I think, after 8 overs.
So change of bowling. It's and that's a reverse sweep by Northeast, but there's a man. Well, it would have been. It's the reverse. it's covered.
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
wicket.
Trying to name fielders when the batsman's gone into reverse and you forget which side they're actually on.
This is who's on now? Simon
Harmer.
Yeah, the captain. Who will come around the wicket from the Cathedral Road end. 86 for 1. This game evenly poised. They're neck and neck in terms of runs scored at this stage, although the required run rate is 11.9. Ingram on strike. That's chopped for a single into the offside, but it's not too dissimilar to how the Essex innings panned out at this stage. It's ebbed and flowed.
It is, and we saw Essex have a little lull just before the sort of between the power play and the 10 over mark. So
Simon Harmer and Northeast came down the wicket. They looked to run the first one hard, but it's cut off, and they'll have to settle for a single.
And this is a big period of the game. I mean, scoring off Simon Harmer, we know what a class act he is and what a class act he's been for Essex and for South Africa. So this is a key part of the game, I think. Here, Simon Harmer to Colin Ingram.
10 tests for South Africa. That was cut off at the man just inside the ring at 45. So there's no run off the bat of Colin Ingram as he shakes his head as he misses out on that one. So just the 3 off this over so far, and that's gone through, playing a miss, and that went through the defence of Colin Ingram. Good ball again from Simon Harmer. This is a good over. Just 3 singles coming off it. Certainly put the brakes on. It's been a while since the last boundary. Harmer, Ingram cuts that one hard, but again, only for a single. So this is class bowling from the South African and has restricted Glamorgan to just the 4 singles, 89 for 1, and that was top quality T20 bowling.
Just brilliant from Simon Harmer. Subtle changes of pace, making it really hard for the batsman to settle and try and set for what's coming down. And the big challenge of these middle overs here is how many can we get off Simon Harmer, and can we keep up with the rate against him?
Yeah, he's really been superb for Essex over the last half dozen years, and in all forms of cricket he's a really good signing, as we're going to see a bit more twirl by the look of it, with Critchley bowling his second over. Claimed the wicket of Carlson for 40, and then he comes from the River Taff end, bowls to Ingram, who brings out the reverse and has nailed that one. It goes past short third man, and that'll run away to the dugouts for 4.
Great shot there from Colin. What this shows, I think, is that with Simon Harmer on at one end, the batters are going to really be targeting the guys at the other. So any bowler coming on now at the other end of Simon Harmer is really going to be under pressure to bowl well.
Next delivery from Critchley is driven by Ingram, hard along the ground to long off. Single taken, 94 for 1. Ingram to 14 not out. Northeast on to strike. No, Ingram 13. The run was already on the board. Like a flash, will Northeast look to go big and straight? The shorter straight boundaries at Sophia Gardens is driven that hard at cover, and it's well parried there by the man up in the circle, and there is no run. Dot ball, 94 for 1. Critchley quickly back at his mark, looking to hurry the batter before he's ready. That's hit inside out by Northeast. One bounce out to cover point. Snater Fields just the single. Glamorgan just finding it a little bit more difficult than Essex did to manufacture the boundaries. 101 for 3 Essex were at halfway, so Glamorgan have got More wickets in the bank at the moment as Ingram goes big on the leg side, and he's cleared the two fielders there as well as bisecting them, and it's gone away for 6. And you get the feeling, James, that Glamorgan needs 6s really. Essex had 10 of them in all, and Glamorgan just need to get these maximums on the board.
Yeah, we do, absolutely. We're keeping pace at the moment. You said Essex were 100 off 10, and we're just about there.
There could be a run out here. There's a shy at the stumps. North East gets back just about as Ingram hit it to backward point. 101 for 1 then at halfway, exactly level with Essex, but with 2 more wickets in the bank. But Essex did go even bigger in the second half of their innings with 125 runs. Can Glamorgan match or better than that? It's fascinating stuff here at Sophia Gardens. 101 for 1, chasing 227 to win.
And North East is on 40, Ingram 19, with Simon Harmer about to start his second over. It was great first over, and that's another dot ball as North East tries to manufacture it away on the onside. Harmer building pressure from this Cathedral Road end. So the target 227, required run rate 12.8, now just creeping up. Harmer, and that's smacked over Harmer's head. 1 bounce, no need to run for that for 4.
No, this is a big period in the game now. If you look at where Essex did, Essex from 10 to 16 overs scored the best part of 90 runs. And Glamorgan finished well with the ball, but it was that damage from sort of 10 to 16 which really cost Glamorgan, and we're going to need to do the same thing here back if we're going to chase down the score.
Simon Harmer, the South African, to Sam North East. Bit short that time, and that's cut. They'll look for 2. No, they won't. That is a single. Hauled back in from the man coming round from extra cover, which brings Colin Ingram on strike. 92 in that match against Middlesex, James alluded to, but he was overshadowed by Chris Cook, and Ingram just prods that one into the onside to mid-wicket, and there's a run, but you feel that they need Ingram there at the death if they're going to prevail in this one. 107 for 1, 2 balls remaining of Simon Harmer's second over. Digs that one in short, and it's slashed into the cover for nothing. Just missing out here, Glamorgan. They put the brakes on Glamorgan. There's a bit of a lull in proceedings. They need a flurry of boundaries. Harmer, that's pulled, and it's not going to dissect the field. Well, they might have thought about coming back for the second. They don't, and that's another classy over from the captain. 108 for 1, so just 7 coming from it, and in T20 terms, a priceless couple from the captain.
Absolutely. When you're chasing 12 and over, or 11 and over, Glamorgan started at, and Simon Harmer bowls 2 overs for 11. It really puts it behind the 8 ball. We know he's a class act, and this is the period here. Glamorgan just need to keep going, needing 13 and over to win this game. 9 overs remaining, 9 wickets in hand, which is a real positive. But now we really need to keep going and going hard.
As Critchley continues, and North East is bowled, having a swing, looking to get his run rate going, and he's gone for 46, and Glamorgan are 108 for 2. We saw Ingram come in ahead of Callum Taylor. Maybe see Chris Cook come in next. As Glamorgan need to give their big guns all the time they can. North East having a go, knowing he needed to step things up, would have been stumped if the ball hadn't clipped leg stump anyway.
Yeah, Sam didn't quite get to his full fluent best there. Chris Cook on his way in now. These are the 2 really. If if you're going to chase down a score of this magnitude from a Glamorgan perspective, it's these two guys at the crease now who you feel like can do the most damage.
So Critchley with the 2 wickets to fall so far, the cost of 23 of 13 deliveries. Ingram is 20, joined by Chris Cook. Colin Ingram is having something applied to his...
I was worried in the last over he wasn't moving quite as well as he normally does.
They can ill afford to lose him, and they can ill afford to lose anybody else in terms of the injury list.
No, I hope he's okay. He's getting a little bit of strapping on what looks like his right calf at the moment, out in the middle, just as Chris Cook walks in.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered why they didn't come back for 2 at the last ball of the previous over. And, well, Glamorgan, emergency ward 10 or whatever comparison you want to make. David Lloyd out injured. Dan Douthwaite out injured. Eddie Byram out injured. Michael Nisa with the Australian squad, and no long-term news of him, so Glamorgan haven't felt able so far to target a championship replacement. Chris Cook on strike then. Second ball of the 12th over. Glamorgan still need 119 to win. It's going up, and Cook won't have much time to play himself in as he plays the first ball to a scrambling Cushy at cover, and there's no run. So Critchley bowls, and Cook is off the mark with a single up to a long on. Just tosses the ball to himself once or twice, unlike the 6 or 7 of the frenetic Hatzoglu approach. 109 for 2. Glamorgan chasing 227. Crowd need a few big blows to cheer them up. Ingram will supply one of them as he hits that one into the river. That's big. That's kept going over the top of the gantry. I think it stunned the fish rather than the cyclist this time.
Absolutely. Beware of a slightly wounded Colin Ingram. That has gone an absolute mile out towards the taff. It might have actually...
Oh no, it's lodged on the balcony.
Landed on the gantry where the cameras normally go.
And there's someone up there on one of the cameras to toss it back. Thought it had cleared it, but not quite. But that is a big blow. 115 for 2. Critchley bowls just back of a length. Ingram hits it through the offside. Will they come back for 2? Yes. Oh, Ingram's back for the second, and he's not happy. Oh, his pads come a bit loose as well. Didn't quite strap it back.
22 came off the 12th in Essex innings. This is where they started to push on.
Critchley bowls to Ingram, who flat bats it through the offside. Has he found another gap? How does he do it, Colin Ingram? He's found another gap, and that one's run away for 4-2 backward point. So 12 off the last 3 balls of the over after Critchley had started it so well, as Ingram picks up a couple of boundaries. And Glamorgan, once the bound details flash back up on screen, 13 off, 121 for 2 off 12. They need a further 106 off 8. Ouch.
In a brilliant position, you must say, like 121 for 2 off 12. I think Glamorgan are in a great position. We just happen to be chasing a really, really big score. So still a lot of pressure on Ingram and Cook here to keep scoring and keep scoring fast and keep finding boundaries. Colin managed to do that at the end of the last over. We need Chris to find some of his best form here, I think, and really push Glamorgan home.
Sam Cook switching to the Cathedral Road end, bangs that one in short, and that's not hit cleanly. One bounce out to mid-wicket, just for a single, but a few quick boundaries. 1 or 2 sixes can change things very quickly.
You just feel Glamorgan need one of those really big overs like Essex had at this period in the game.
Well, Ingram's raced on to 32 off just 15 balls. He's going to smash Sam North East 510 last year, one would think. Sam North East was the top scorer in this form of the game for Glamorgan last year. Cook coming in round the wicket to left arm batsman Ingram, who scooped that high behind the man at fine leg. 1 bounce for 4. So this a good start to this over. They need to continue. They need these pair there late on. So Cook returns to his mark just on the edge of the 30, comes in past the umpire on the Cathedral Road end. That's Fuller, but that's whacked. Brilliant off drive from Colin Ingram. That was a superb shot. Just stand, watch and admire.
He's a fabulous man to watch back, Colin Ingram. I know we've seen it so much, and Glamorgan supporters will have seen it for a long time, but you watch him move around the crease and you watch him strike a cricket ball, and it really makes some fantastic watching.
130 for 2, 9 off this Sam Cook over, 3 to go, just rearranging the field, wanting some more protection, which is understandable when you've got Colin Ingram at the other end. The problem is he's got an array of shots in his locker. That's dug in short, that's caught, that's going to go all the way again, behind, and that was the man at deep fine leg, no chance, and that's a full compliment for Colin Ingram once more.
Well, he's just hitting the ball to all parts here. I mean, that was slightly telegraphed from Sam Cook. You kind of thought it would be back of the length short. Still didn't know what pace he was going to come down, but it was as though he'd already told Colin what he was going to bowl, and Colin swiveled and knocked it into the stands.
This could be a crucial over. 15 from it so far, Cook, and that's a better ball. They'll run the first one hard, but there's no chance of a second. So 16 from this expensive Chris Cook over, but that's the problem, bowling to Colin Ingram. You know, if you're just short of a length or you're off in terms of your radar, you're going to get punished as Cook swivels round on the Cathedral Road end. In comes past the umpire, bowls. That's Fuller once more. There's an elegant off drive from Cook, just for a single though, but that's more like it from a Glamorgan's perspective. 17 coming off the over, so at the end of the 13th, Ingram is there on 47. Cook is still unbeaten, and these two crucial. So Glamorgan have raced on to 138 for 2 after 13. And so it's still very nervy.
89 off 7 for Glamorgan now. Manhattan is the term given to the bar graph of how many runs are scored off which overs, and it's a forest of skyscrapers out there. It really is Manhattan.
Well done, Nick.
The worm is looking dizzy as well. Slater bowls, and Cook hits it hard away on the offside, but picks out the sweeper on the point boundary, and it's just a single, but that brings Colin Ingram on to strike. Shane Snater, he's bowling his 3rd over from the River Taff end. Fielders back on the boundary everywhere on the leg side, and in fact now fine leg is being brought up into the circle, whom Colin Ingram has cleared a couple of times in the last couple of overs. Long on his back, mid wicket, square leg, long off and cover point. Snater bowls, Ingram plays it into the offside, but will just be a single. Essex's fielders really are pushing that 30-metre fielding circle. I think they're retreating once the ball is bowled. Single taken. 140 for 2. Singles off the first 2 balls of the over as Chris Cook on strike. Snater bowls up in the block hole. Snater gets a boot on it, it cannons away into the offside, and it's a precious dot ball for the visitors.
It's been a tough night for the bowlers this so far. There's not particularly any pretty bowling figures knocking around. It's been a good wicket, and Glamorgan are very much in this game. It's going to be a tough chase. It was always going to be a tough chase, but we're very much in this game with 6.5 overs to go.
87 to win. Snater bowls short, pulled around by Cook. There may be 2 here. No, he's hit it too hard. It's fielded at square leg. 141 for 2. Ingram 48. Cook 5. Chris Cook not able to fully open his shoulders so far, but he can strike a very long ball once he does so. Open stance, particularly so this year, I think, Chris Cook in this comp. Ingram on strike. And Ingram's hit that one up towards mid-wicket. Will it carry? It's caught on the boundary. Colin Ingram goes for 48. Essex strike, a vital blow. Glamorgan 141 for 3.
Oh, it's a big wicket. It's a really big wicket to lose Colin there. Just you felt he was ticking, you felt like he was going, and that needed an extra yard on that one. Slow ball from Snater, bowled into the wicket. Collins looking at swing it away over deep mid-wicket, and he's just picked out the fielder.
48 off 21 deliveries for Colin Ingram. Critchley eventually took the catch. There were two of them converging. For a moment I thought they'd both go for it, as Kushi was in there as well. And, well, Critchley really had to tiptoe inside the ropes to avoid stepping on the boundary. But that could be a match-winning moment for Essex as Colin Ingram goes for 48. All three batsmen so far getting to the 40s, but no half-century. Another replay of the Critchley shuffle. Just a couple of inches inside that boundary ropes. They say T20 cricket's about fine margins. Callum Taylor has to start improvising from the beginning now, as he's hit on the pad first ball. There's a very loud and dramatic appeal from Shane Snater, but Taylor was well down the wicket. Just the 3 runs off that over then. That could be the winning over as far as Essex are concerned. 141 for 3. And Chris Cook has got it all to do now. 3 off the over really hurts the Glamorgan team here. I mean, the wicket of Colin Ingram probably hurts more, to be honest, and we need a bit of Chris Cook magic. We need him to get going and get going fast, because right to this situation now, 1 or 2 more slow overs really hurts when you're chasing just over 14.
Yeah, and Harmer is continuing from the Cathedral Road end. And he'll try and tighten things up now. That's cut, and it's not going to go all the way, but they'll collect a couple here. And Cook has to replicate what he did up in Middlesex without the partnership of Colin Ingram at the other end. It was there to be hit. He was going to go for it, but it didn't get off the meat of the bat, and it just died plugged at the mid-wicket boundary, and it was taken by Critchley. I thought Kushi was going to clatter into him at one stage, but it was taken. That's a dab down behind the man at fine leg, and they come back, and will come back safely for another couple, but they need some big boundaries now, Glamorgan, because they've got wickets in hand, but they need 82 and 34.
And Simon Harmer on as well, which makes life a little bit trickier.
Callum Taylor is at the non-striker's end. Cook faces Simon Harmer, comes in, it's elegantly put, driven all the way to the offside. It's a crucial 6, they need many more. But Chris Cook needs to get going, and he realises that. But what an elegant shot that was off the bowling of Simon Harmer.
He's a brilliant player of spin, Chris Cook. He's sort of backed away a little bit, taken a step back to the leg side, and just used his hands and hit him up and over extra cover for 6.
3 balls to go from this over from the Cathedral Road end. And again, is that going to evade the fielder? Yes, it does. So this crucial runs needed for Glamorgan's tally as they get up to 151 for 3. So expensive over this from Harmer, uncharacteristically so. A lovely shot on the leg side that time. Just swept away round the corner.
Just brilliant batting again, just hitting the ball where the fielders aren't, which is a very simple thing in the game of cricket, but very hard to do.
72 from 32. There's a better ball. They run the first one hard, but the man comes in from long on, and it's hauled back in. So just 1 ball remaining from this Simon Harmer over. 156 for 3, 227 the target, and that's prodded away to long on, and again there's just a single, but that's a better over for Glamorgan, but they need more after 15. They're 157 for 3. Cook 20. Callum Taylor just off the mark with 1. And they need 70 from 30 balls.
Yeah, every ball's a big delivery now. Really great work there from Chris Cook to get some runs off site for Simon Harmer over. But Glamorgan really under pressure, still needing 14 and over. 70 off 30 balls, you say?
Yeah. Yep. They got 16 in that over, so they need to virtually replicate that. There's the dark blue worm of Glamorgan on the screen of our stream. The video stream is just a little bit underneath that of the red of the Essex worm, showing the scoring rate in graph form. 157 for 3, 70 off 5 needed. Walter in to bowl, and Taylor hits that one through the offside, fielded by the man sweeping on the cover boundary. Single taken, which is probably Callum Taylor's job at the moment, just to give Chris Cook as much strike as he can.
Absolutely, Glamorgan are looking at probably 2 boundaries and over here, realistically at least, to try and get home. So Chris Cook's a boundary hitter, or the better boundary hitter, so and with the form he's in, give him the strike and see what he can do.
Walter is in to bowl to Cook, who's skied this one up in the air. Walter should get to it, he does, and he's caught and bowled somewhere near square leg. And Chris Cook goes for 20 off 13 deliveries, and Glamorgan's hopes just starting to fade away.
Good bowling from Paul Walter. Dug one into the wicket there to Chris Cook. Cramped him up as Chris Cook tried to back away. Chris tried to pull it over mid-wicket. Managed to get the splice of the bat and kind of pop straight up in the air to Paul Walter to take a caught and bowled off his own bowling.
Well, Glamorgan's big names in the top order all having to retreat. Billy Root, it's in some good areas. Hit, I think, 5 sixes in a row, if I remember rightly, up at Worcester last year in a one-day cup match. And Glamorgan could do with a bit of that now. Billy Roots, so far in this competition, 45 runs, twice out, strike rate of 140. Runs per 100 balls, that is. Walter is in, over the wicket to the left-hander, and Roots popped this one up in the air, and it's a second caught and bowled in successive balls for Paul Walter, who will be enjoying the motorway miles tonight or tomorrow, because he's got a crucial innings and now 2 crucial caught and bowls to cut off this Glamorgan chase.
Oh, just extracting some extra bounce from the wicket there. 6'7". Paul Walter digs one in on a decent length to Billy Root. Billy tries to whip it off his hip, but only manages to get a leading edge straight up in the air, and Paul Walter takes another easy caught and bowled.
Not sure I've ever seen a hat-trick of caught and bowls before. Zainul Hassan will be the man trying to avoid that. He's a left-arm bat. A young man from Islamabad via the Midlands, former Worcestershire Academy. And he's a left-hand bat, right-arm bowler. Walter then on a hat-trick is in to bowl to Ul Hassan, and he's edged that one down towards third man for a single. So no hat-trick, but certainly job being superbly done by Paul Walter in this 16th over, and Glamorgan still with a mammoth 68 needed to win. Callum Taylor, who hasn't been much in the first team in the last couple of years, hit a spectacular maiden century at Northampton in the Championship, and drives this one on the leg side. They'll look for 2. That should be an easy 2, as he's played that in controlled fashion. 2 runs to Taylor, who moves to 4 not out, as Taylor will look to open his shoulders. 106 was on Championship debut at Northampton in 2020, so no one there to watch it apart from the media and the staff. As in comes Next delivery from Walter, and almost played on from Taylor as he swung around and nearly dragged it onto his wicket. So it's an over that very much swings things towards the visitors from Essex. 2 wickets, 4 runs for Paul Walter, who really is the man of the match by some distance at the moment. And Glamorgan are searching for a big 66 runs needed to win for Glamorgan after just 4 overs, after Paul Walter claimed 2 caught and bowled victims in successive deliveries in that last over. Chris Cook for 20, Billy Root without scoring. So Taylor 4, Ul Hassan 1, 4 overs to go.
And that should put pay to Glamorgan's chances in this game. 66 required off 23 balls, and losing Colin Ingram was a blow, and even more so when Chris Cook left. So Ul Hassan and Callum Taylor at the crease, and a good toss to win. And I'm not sure if Kieran Carson was playing just a bit of kidology, saying that they would have bowled anyway.
You've got to say that, haven't you?
It just puts you under pressure, and Essex got off to a flyer. It did ebb and flow, but there were too many big overs where runs flew off the bat in terms of how Glamorgan were concerned, as Harmer comes in and bowls, and Ul Hassan, well, if he'd have connected, that was going all the way to Cathedral Road. As it happened, it squirmed away behind the wicket keeper to the man at the 45, 164 for 5. So Glamorgan 4 wins so far, and it looks as if that will remain, but that's a decent shot. Unfortunately, it's going to be cut off at mid-wicket. They'll come back for a second. So how will that be viewed in this mini break going into the championship match at Durham?
Oh look, I think with the T20 form we showed this year so far, I think he'll be pretty happy. But disappointed, I think, to lose the 2 home games this week.
As Harmer comes in for his final ball of the over. That's a strong shout, yes it is. Across his stumps went Callum Taylor. I think it was an easy one for the umpire to make. Would have hit middle and off, I think, there. And the dreaded finger goes up, and it's another wicket for Essex. And it comes to the captain, Simon Harmer. And it's almost at an end, unfortunately. 166 for 6 after the 17th.
Yeah, shame there. Callum Taylor only had one option. He had to keep going. Tried to take on Simon Harmer and sweep it away behind square. Yeah, going back to kind of where we are, we're pretty happy, I think, with the start we've had to the season.
4 from 7.
Yeah, shame to lose the 2 games this week. You know, realistically, we know to make a quarter-final, 7 wins is probably where you need to get to, maybe 8. So we're kind of well on track for that at this stage, and we know that getting the quarter-final keeps you in the competition, and from that stage on, then it's anybody's game, really. It's someone finds some form, and you can find yourself to finals day, and then anything can happen from there. So
Daniel Sams, the left-arm Australian seamer, is into the attack. Ul Hassan tries to bludgeon it over the offside. He's got a thick edge. It's flown over third man, and it's rolled down to the boundary for 4 runs. So Zain Ul Hassan, knowing that he has to go after everything, no matter how high quality the bowling. It's 170 for 6, and of course you have to remember every run could count in the table at the end of the group stage.
Yeah, net run rate often comes down to being really important, so as many as we can get here.
Sams is into Hassan, who tries the ramp, and he's got that away, and that's 4 runs down to fine leg.
And Nick, they were slightly ahead going into this game on net run rate.
Yeah, just in the positive. You would imagine that Essex will overtake them on run rate as well as obviously on points. They were level with 4 from 6, these 2 sides, so it's Essex who finished this block. It's hardly a rest with the championship game in between. 174 for 6 as Sam's bowls, and Hassan is caught this time trying to play the same shot, caught at short fine leg. He's gone for 11. It's 174 for 7.
Yeah, Zainul Hassan there trying to take on another ramp shot. Slower ball from Daniel Sams and managed to get caught at short 45. Needing best part of 20 runs and over. He has to take on every shot he can now, and executed the shot pretty well, but with a lack of pace on that one. Short 45 managed to get around and take the catch.
It was Josh Reimel who was the catcher, and he'll be glad to get on the scorebook because he didn't contribute with the bat. Tim van der Hoogten in at 9 for Glamorgan, the final knockings of this game. 15 balls to get 53 runs, and 2 new batters, absolutely brand new at the crease. In fact, it's Rory Smith in. Tim van der Hoogten was the last one. As Rory Smith swings it up in the air, and he's going to go caught at cover as well. Catching practice for the Essex fielders at the moment. Shane Snater underneath that one, and just shows the difficulty of facing this sort of run rate with the lower order.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough chase. Anytime a team wins a toss, bats first, puts 220 plus on the board. We were in this game for a really long time with the bat. The boys were playing really nicely, but it just showed that you bowl one or two really good overs, get the run rate up, and then the batsmen have to take on shots that aren't quite there. And we've lost a few wickets here towards the back end, trying to keep up with the run rate. But it was a good fight with the bat for a big chunk of this innings. But sadly, with don't look, we're going to get too close to the total in the end.
Chris Cook was probably the last realistic hope when he went with a score on 158. That was 158 for 4. It's now 174 for 8 as everyone else has swung in vain. Root first ball, Al Hassan 11, Smith first ball as well, as it will be McIlroy ahead of Hatzoglu, who plays and misses his first ball.
We did have somebody off the field at the end of the innings. Was it Pete? Because you mentioned Andy Gorvin coming on the field.
Gorvin was on, so Hatzoglu, I think, has had 1 or 2 injury niggles possibly, but looks like he's dropped down to 11 if he comes in at all. 174 for 8, and margin 53 runs at the moment as McIlroy swings and doesn't get much bat on it. 174 for 8 then after 18 overs are Glamorgan. Again, at Sophia Gardens, even with a good track, it's a reasonable total, but the bowling side has not been up to the mark tonight for Glamorgan, and Essex will run out comfortable winners.
Yeah, they will. Look, it's been a tough week, I suppose. I mean, from a bowling attack perspective, we hadn't managed to contain neither Surrey nor this Essex team to totals we were able to chase down, which would be something we can look at, I suppose, as we take this little break, albeit a break where we end up driving to Durham in the morning and playing Sunday to Wednesday. But we'll look at this before we head back down to Essex now a week today.
Sam Cook back into the attack from the Cathedral Road end, trying to round things off for Essex. It's a full toss, and that's pulled into the leg side, just a single. Will Mark Lane just reflect on the first block? Will there be any changes? A few of the Glamorgan faithful very vocal on Twitter, as they always are, mentioning the name of a certain Andrew Salter, that he's not been playing, not featured at all.
Yeah, obviously we've had Mark Lane come in as a new coach who sees things from a different light, and this is the team he's gone with up until this point.
Cook coming in past the umpire, and it's a swing and a miss from McIlroy.
I think you've got to say we've had a pretty successful start in winning 4 from the first 5.
Yeah.
Obviously been a tough couple of nights, Wednesday and tonight, to knock it over the line in these two, but 4 from 7 leads to not a terrible start at all, and we've probably got some reflecting to do this week. We need a strong second half of the competition, but we're right in the mix to try and push for a quarter-final.
Just the 5 wins last year, and that's clean bowled, and McIlroy didn't look as if he was going to stay around for long. low full toss, hitting middle and leg, I think, from Cook. That's 8 down, and that's 9th, is it?
Yeah, just waiting to see if Hatzoglu's going to come out.
Yeah.
Might be the end of the game, possibly.
And
some confusion.
Well, Tim's in the middle here. I don't think Tim knows.
there's a bit of a conflab going on.
Have we got a number 11 bat fit to take the field for Glamorgan?
It doesn't look as if we have.
Oh yes, he's now emerged from the dugout, just about rather reluctantly.
No, I don't think so. I think I think there's a handshake.
No, that's it.
Sorry,
that's it.
Handshake.
Well, that's ended in a bit of a damp squib for Glamorgan, with Hatzoglu not being able to take his place out at the crease, much to the groans of the home side. So it was a fast start for Glamorgan in reply to a tough total that they had to overhaul. Essex making 226 and coming home with some despair. And Glamorgan, well, not all out, but with Hatzoglu not being able to take the field, they made 175. So after what was a good start to this campaign, they've just hit the buffers, James Harris, in the last 2 with defeats at the hands of Surrey and Essex. There's a championship game before they resume in this competition at Chelmsford next Friday, and that's still a crucial one if they are going to proceed in this competition.
Yeah, it is. Look, we know every game in this competition is crucial. Losing a couple this week is by no means catastrophic. We're in a pretty good position, like I said, to try and push for a quarter-final spot. But yeah, we need to be sharp when we resume in a week's time. We've got a little break here where Mark Lane, as sort of a white ball coach, can probably reflect for a couple of days and see how we're going to shape up for next Friday night. We're going to do Essex.
Just picking up on what you said, you were reluctant to sort of criticise the bowlers. Who's a cracking wicket, but is there sort of some concern that your likes of Ingram and Cook in games have managed to not get Glamorgan out of trouble per se, but the batting has been the theme in this early block? Is that array of variation there enough variation in the bowling department?
I think that's something we've probably got to look at. Absolutely. You can't go for 200 plus and expect your batters to knock them off too often. We've seen some brilliance from Colin Ingram and Chris Cook, as you've said, which have won us a couple of games. But yeah, it's something we definitely need to look at, because you can't put your batters under that much pressure. We saw how well they played. We saw 10 overs into the Glamorgan innings, we were at parity, just over 100. Looking in shape to get close and try and chase that down. But with that sort of score on the board, with that sort of pressure the batters are under, as soon as somebody bowls a good over, you're really behind the game, and that's what we've seen tonight, as well as what we saw last on Wednesday with Surrey.
So for the benefit of our Essex viewers, the bowling figures: Sam's 2 for 27 off 3, Cook 1 for 35 off 3.3, Snyder 1 for 26 off 3, Walter 2 for 19 off 2, Critchley 2 for 36 off his 3, and Harmer 1 for 32 off his 4 overs. Paul Walter, very much the star of the show, with 78 and a couple of important wickets in the middle order. Glamorgan move up to Durham on Sunday, 11 o'clock start, of course. I'll be joining Martin Emerson of BBC Radio Newcastle for that one. And Essex, well, they're at home to Somerset on Sunday. And Kenneth and I will be back from Chelmsford a week tonight. Thank you very much indeed to James Harris, who'll be rejoining us later in the competition, if he's not playing by then. Best of luck on the championship game, James.
Thank you very much.
Hope to be interviewing you with a few wickets under your belt. And it's victory for Essex by the comfortable margin of 51 runs. Essex 226 for 9, Glamorgan 175 all out. From Kenneth, James and myself, Nick Webb, a very good evening. North Star.